actually. Hello there. I don't know why the fuck I said I would do a 4-hour stream tonight, but here's the thing. I haven't been able to stream the last couple nights, so you know what? Kind of gotta make up for it tonight. Ooh. Also, I broke my nails today, these ones, and I actually want to cry a little bit. How is everyone? Yes, how is everyone? How's everyone's day or night? Or how's everyone's sleep? Wherever you're at. That's fine. I don't even know if I'm gonna make it 4 hours, because that's 7. That means I'll be finishing at 11 o'clock. Jesus Christ, yeah. So we're gonna see. 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, yeah. We're gonna see. You know what? Stay for the full 4 hours. I just want to see how far I can get, because I realized that I think if I can read, here's the thing, if I can read 20 chapters, we will be exactly halfway through the book. Pretty much halfway through the book, so. Okay, here's the thing. I know I give princess vibes. I'm not denying that I don't, but you also give princess vibes. Like, that's just kind of the fact of it, is you give, like, cunty, pretty princess vibes. And everybody sees it. Everybody says it. Like, we all kind of feel that way about you, and it's something to be ashamed of. But, you know, it's like it's just like a cool little quirk to your personality, you know? Okay. Thank you, Harsh. You know what? Spread the agenda. Spread the agenda. Message deleted. Spreading the agenda. Okay. I'm gonna get right into reading. Chapter, because I'm pretty sure this chapter I literally only read the first, like, 2 pages, and then it bugged out, so we're just gonna start again. Goal is, we're gonna see if I last 4 hours. I don't know if I'm gonna last 4 hours, but what we're gonna do is read as much as we can, for as long as we can, or not 5 hours, 4 hours. We're gonna do as much as we can, as long as we can, and whoever wants to hang out can hang out. So let's begin. Chapter 654, Prisoner and Guard. No way, I haven't gone anywhere. Has the far-reaching hands of trouble come on its own? Klein revealed in grievance that didn't match Gammon Sparrow's persona. He nearly drew a gasp. The only thing stopping him from doing that because... Stopping him from doing that was because it would cause quite a stir, making trouble discover his hiding spots. No longer a green nighthawk, he rapidly made up his mind. He held his breath, slowly stood up and moved to the side of the metal gate without a sound. He secretly and silently looked up in the direction of incoming footsteps. He believed that since hiding and avoiding it was necessarily useful, he had to determine danger revolving. I promise I will not mess anything up. Do my best. Also, hi Zen. Hi David. After a situation so as to make the best choice. The two miniature suns in his eyes dimmed as Klein waited for nearly a minute as he heard the footsteps turn heavy and clear. Following that, he had heard a clanking sound of metallic gates slamming onto the wall. Following that, he saw a towering figure appear in the right of the corridor. The figure was nearly 2.5 meters tall and wore black full armor body. The cold feeling it exuded seemed corporal and gigantic, like a gigantic knight. His aura was converged, and he was stayed like the deep red glows that flickered in his hand and its long, broad black sword. Sure, stream can end when I get 20 clips. Creak. He pushed open the metal gate and cell and stepped in the circle. He circled the cell, seemingly in search of something. Man, is he trying to find a particular prisoner? I'll definitely be discovered if this continues. Klein hesitated for a moment and wondered if he should leave the cell and search for the way out before the figure came close, or to sneak an attack to finish the target in a clean swoop before continuing to huddle in a corner and await the end of the dream. After judgment how much time he had to think, Klein quickly took off the topaz pendant and his left wrist and began divining with a voice that perhaps only he could hear. The night from before is very strong. Yeah, that'll be good. Bye. After quickly repeating it 7 times, Klein opened his eyes to see the topaz pendant turning clockwise at a high frequency and large amplitudes. This meant that the target was an extremely dangerous existence. Without any hesitation or time to hesitate, Klein used the beyonder powers of the clown and controlled his muscles to pull open the metal gate without causing any additional stimulations. Then he took the opportunity when the black armored entity entered another cell to gently walk out into the corridor and rapidly headed left to his body crouched. With his body crouched. In the immense darkness, as he listened for any commotion behind him, he maintained his stealthy and swift motion, quickly making the bend and arriving at the metal gate, which opened outwards. It looked like an exit. Attempting to push and pull, Klein discovered that the metal gates were heavy, but it had been locked. After 2 seconds of thoughts, he took out the key he picked up inside his cell, inserted it, and twisted it without holding much hope. The light clicked and latched open sounded as the metal gates unlocked. That works. Although it's a dream, you can't just have a randomly pick-up key be an important item. I originally planned on folding some paper and inserting it into the keyhole and repeatedly slice at it, bit by bit. Klein slowly pushed open the doors he lampooned while thinking in the puzzlement. This, to his disappointment... Oh, should I not? Oh, wait. Yeah, aren't I supposed to have different music right now? Nobody tell Cammy. He's gonna be pissed. To his disappointment, what stood behind the metal gate wasn't the exit, but a half filled with drunk. I know, I remember now I'm supposed to have different music playing. That's my bad. Okay, let me do this. Let me get it. Let me get it. No, because here's the thing. It's even worse when Cammy's disappointed. I hate when Cammy's disappointed. It's, like, genuinely scary. Okay. Closing the gate behind him and pressing his he locked it again and circled around the items randomly strewn around in search of possible door or path. And a few seconds later, he noticed an inconspicuous black wooden door in the corner. Therefore, he carefully approached it and reached out for the handle. The scene inside naturally appeared in his mind. It was a storage room, and on the right was a full-body mirror, and to his right was a figure wearing a short linen robe. I don't. There's someone there, the escaped prisoner. Having been forced to leave the comfort zone, Klein decided to take hold of the initiative in limited fashion. Therefore, he gently twisted the handle and pushed open the black wooden door. He waited to gather information on the general situation so as to determine where to engage in combat or flee at a critical moment in time. Who is it? The figure wearing the short linen robe hurriedly but softly asked. Its voice filled with despair and pain. An adventurer, Klein skewedly answered. He had already used his night vision to discern the figure's looks. It was a man with a withered face. He had wrinkles on his forehead and the corners of his eyes and mouth, but his hair was raven black and lustrous. There wasn't a single strand of gray hair. His short linen robe, ancient and simple, his expressions distorted due to pain. He rarely seen pure black eyes were filled with unconcealed surprise and puzzlement. Adventurer? Why would you be here? Klein maintained a certain distance from the man, who was difficult to discern whether he was considered young or old. He stood by the entrance and looked at him. Before asking others, introduce yourself is a necessary form of politeness. As a faceless, just as the short acting sizing him up from before had made him gasp at the man's features, apart from the disorient hair and the wrinkles, he had an old gruesome scar on his cheek. The man was startled and worryingly glanced at the hall. "It's best you close the door. We cannot be caught by the devil, otherwise." The muscles on his face clearly twitched as though he had recalled something nasty. "Devil?" Klein murmured and extended his hand back to close the wooden door. The man heaved a sigh of relief and smiled wearily. "I apologize. I was indeed impolite. My name is Leomaster, an ascetic of the religious organization." Am I about to meet another peak character? A religious organization. From the looks of it, you aren't a devotee of any of the 7 deities. Klein discovered a problem with the choice of words. If he is an ascetic of one of the 7 deities, he could have directly said it out loud. Even the high priest of the Church of Sun and the bishop of the Church of Storms wouldn't come to blows the moment they met in such dangerous places. Leomaster said with a self-deprecating laugh, "That's right, I worship the original creator. He is an omnipotent and omniscient existence, the source of everything great. He is the beginning and the end. He is the God of all gods." This, upon hearing how the person revered the original creator, Klein's first reaction was that it was the Twilight Hermit Order. However, there are also some similar denominations in the northern and southern continent. There's quite a number of people who believe in the original creator. Klein deliberated as he asked, "What's the name of the religious organization? How did you end up here?" Leomaster hesitated for a moment before saying, "To this far east of the Sonia Sea is where my lord sleeps. His sacred mountain is somewhere hidden there. I led a pilgrimage here in an attempt to witness his miracles and redeem myself. Perhaps it's a necessary test. We were all caught by the devil, and one by one we died. Later, I seized the opportunity to escape the cell and hid here, awaiting the devil's departure." Klein thought for a moment before saying, "Do you know of the name of this devil? What characteristics does he have?" Leomaster shook his head, saying in a somewhat puzzled manner, "I do not know his exact name, but many pilgrims seem to know him. They call him the Saint of Darkness." Saint of Darkness, a demigod. Is this Leomaster's dream, or is this the demigod's dream? From the outcome of my divination, it's likely the latter. Otherwise, it wouldn't be that dangerous. Klein was about to continue asking which organization Leomaster was from and determine the beyonder powers of the Saint of Darkness when he suddenly noticed a full-body mirror opposite the ascetic through the corner of his eye. In mysticism, mirrors were passages and connected hidden and unknown worlds. It easily brought about terrifying accidents. Therefore, Klein, who was in a dangerous dream, carefully walked over and planned on using the powers of the Priest of Light to destroy the item. "No, don't!" Leomaster seemed to sense Klein's intentions and cried out softly in horror. "Without it, I will immediately die." Klein looked at the mirror again in puzzlement. Although the environment was abnormally dark, the mirror clearly reflected 2 figures. One of them was Leomaster, and with his numerous wrinkles and raven black hair. The other was a thin-faced, black-haired, and brown-eyed Gammon Sparrow who wore a cap. At this moment, the Gammon Sparrow in the mirror slowly moved his head, even though Klein didn't make any moves. He revered in deep, sinister smile towards him. The mirror surface suddenly rippled as his hand reached out. With just the blinking of an eye, of the Gammon Sparrow, who looked identical to him, crawled out of the mirror. His face was tainted with obviously sinisterness due to the darkness cloaking it. How terrifying. The next review is actually going to be tomorrow. And because I'm halfway through book 1, after we finish all these chapters, I'll be halfway through book 1. I'm gonna do like a big review tomorrow on what I think is happening based on everything. And I'm probably just gonna do it on YouTube because it's probably gonna be longer than 10 minutes. And I'll do my favorite parts from the first half of the book. How terrifying. Unfortunately, I don't look like Gammon Sparrow, therefore you failed to scare me. If Zhao Minguri came through the mirror, I might have been woken up out of fright. Klein calmly looked at his counterpart and raised his left hand, which swirled with a layer of sunlight. The sinister Gammon Sparrow smiled as he raised his left hand as well, making the darkness that was made up of magnificence and sinisterness surface in his glove, the corresponding power to the Baron of Corruption. My clone. I looked up. I was told the book was like 1,300 and like something chapters. I think it's 14, because, like, that's how many chapters I saw it was. It's probably 1432 with the side stories, I'm assuming. But I looked that it was going to be... Regardless, we're pretty much halfway, so I'm going to do a very large review just before I finish Volume 3. Unless we finish Volume 3 tonight, which, you know what? Fuck it. We'll read until we finish. You can join in as the time goes on. Okay, yeah. See, I was counting without the side stories, but I can also count the side stories. My clone, Kai thought as he raised his right hand expressionlessly. From out of nowhere, he held a short, milky white scepter in his palms, and at the tips embedded in blue gems. Sea God Scepter. Although this action his dreams needed to abide by the logic in order to achieve the desired effects, Klein suspected that the illusory world was unable to influence the mysterious space above the Grey Fog. Therefore, he attempted to simplify the ritual process and told him that the Sea God Scepter was stored in a similar unique zone. In the spirit world, he could retrieve it whenever he wanted. The outcome from his attempts delighted Klein. Indeed, the dream world was unable to differentiate between the unique zone in the spirit world and the space above the Grey Fog. With the premise of the Sea God Scepter belonging to him, the sealed artifact at a demigod level was retrieved. It really works. Otherwise, I have to engage in an intense battle. Klein secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He similarly believed that the mirror was unable to replicate matters related to the Grey Fog. The sinister Gammon Sparrow looked opposite him in a dazed state. He instinctively raised his hand, but his right palm was empty. Then he saw countless bolts of silver lightning shoot out, enveloping him inside, causing him to extend one paper figurine substitute after another, without being able to escape from the area. With a sizzling sound, a huge ball of lightning illuminated the cramped room, which provided no room for the dodging. Following that, the Gammon Sparrow from the mirror vanished. For some reason, Klein felt himself immediately turn serene, as though he had become a sage. He turned his head and looked at Leo Master again. "What's the name of the religious organization you joined?" Leo Master trembled as he answered, "Aurora Order. Aurora Order." Klein was stunned as he couldn't help but pick his brows. At that moment, there was a loud clanging outside. The locked gates that opened outward had seemed to have been kicked open. Thump, thump, thump. The heavy footsteps sounded like drumming, walking over the corners, seemingly discovered where Klein and Leo Master were hiding. Klein suspected that the lightning storm from before had been sensed by the Saint of Darkness. There's no way of hiding. Klein held the Sea God Scepter and kicked the black wooden door, and the storage room opened towards the Saint of Darkness. As the door thumped, he clearly saw the target's appearance. The knight, who was wearing a black full-body armor, had already raised up his visor, at some point in time revealing his deep wrinkled face and some of his bright raven black hair, as well as the old scar on his cheek. He looked identical to Leo Master, even the minute features were identical. The only difference was the deep redness that emanated from his eyes. Chapter 655, Dream Analysis. By unknown. No, dude, right? That's what I'm saying. I can't remember his name. His name was like... I can't remember his name. But our technician came today, and he fixed up the Wi-Fi real fucking good. It was our box. We needed a full new box and router. But it's all better now. So. Yippee. Chapter 655, Dream Analysis. Klein was alarmed. He instinctively turned his body to the side without exposing his back to Leo Master, who was trembling in horror in the storage room. No more leg. Knock on wood. Turned his body to the side without exposing his back to Leo Master, who was trembling in horror in the storage room. He couldn't be certain about the prisoner wearing a short linen robe wasn't problematic. At this moment, the deep redness in the black armored knight, who had the same face as Leo Master, brightened drastically. He raised the gloomy broadsword in his hands. Bam! With a step forward, he cleaved forward at the speed that Klein couldn't capture with his naked eye. At the same time, Klein, who was standing at the side of him, subconsciously raised his Sea God Scepter and made the blue gems at the tip light up simultaneously. Whoosh. I'm praying no more leg, okay? I did not pay in other ways. Disgusting. Besides, I'm a classy woman. I don't do that. So. Unless it's in a competition with fours. And then, you know what? Fair game. The Corporal Hurricane appeared in thin air as he swirled around Klein, protecting him within the eye of the hurricane. I did say classy and woman in the same sentence in reference to me. And I'll do it again. Whoosh, the black stream light carved its way over the layer after layer of the strong winds dissipated, scattering every direction, causing the entire hall to tremble. Boom! Under the black broadsword, the hurricane produced an explosive boom that reduced to a surging wave that flooded the entire region. It lifted up all the junk into the air. The intense collision clearly shook the dream as Klein felt his mind go adrift. He couldn't help but roll twice. He fell from his bed to the floor, the fall causing him to open his eyes. The Saint of Darkness is really powerful, or should I say that I've never used the Sea God Scepter in the real world, so I'm unable to replicate the full might of in the dream. Wait, it's still night. Klein suddenly noticed a problem. At that moment, the midday sunlight wasn't beaming in from the windows. His awakening was due to the intense struggle in the dream, not due to a natural occurrence. That also meant that he needed to sleep immediately, otherwise he might very well disappear into the dark night, never to be found again. With that thought flashing in his mind, Klein pushed his right hand to the ground, flipping his body up as he flew towards the bed and laid himself down. Then he imagined the stacked spherical lights that quickly entered his dreams. During this process, Klein swept his gaze to the window and vaguely saw the dark night outside. It was quiet and serene, without any sense of sinisterness. Meanwhile, he vaguely felt that there was a fog encompassing the surface of the sea relatively far away. Amidst the fog, there was a cathedral composed of rather ancient architect. It was completely black in color. There wasn't a bell tower, and at the top were pitch-black ravens spiraling around as though they were constricting or laminating or something. This cathedral has many buildings around it. There are ordinary two-story residences and simple wood huts that bread shop and hanging signboards, and grayish-white mills use water wheels for power. Pedestrians pass through the main street and alleys with their fingers fighting about. Impossible to know if they're actual stations. A mirage, a source of danger at night. All the people who disappeared had lost their minds and went somewhere. Klein woke up from this dream because he subconsciously considered the question that he had accumulated. Following that, he forcefully made himself concentrate. He retrieved the Sea God Scepter from the spirit world's unique zone. He remembered that there was an intense battle with the Saint of Darkness just before he left the dream. The silent, dim golden light shone in Klein's eyes as everything immediately turned bright. What he could see was no longer a tall knight dressed in full black-bodied armor, nor was it Leomaster, who was dressed in the short linen robe. Instead, he was facing a floor-to-ceiling window that faced the setting sunset. The window was very clear and revealed the indiscernible sense of purity under the sun's illumination. By the side of the window, the tables were their original wooden colors, and the black high back curtains further away were rows of bookshelves and all kinds of books placed on them. A library, a book repository. Every time I enter this dream world, I'll be placed randomly in certain areas. Klein carefully observed the surroundings and confirmed that it was temporarily safe without the so-called Saint of Darkness or strange evil creatures. He held the Sea God Scepter and first came to the floor-to-ceiling window and looked at the environment outside. The first thing that he saw was an opulent building that covered the opposite mountain peak. The huge places, magnificent steeples, and the towering city walls that all appeared frozen in the sunset. It was a visual spectacle. Even though it was his first time seeing it, Klein still held his breath, quietly admiring the miraculous scenery for a few seconds. He then moved his gaze away toward the cliff. He saw the high walls of the black cloister. Guys, we're back at the cloister. This fucking thing's haunting my dreams. And the withered trees beside the boulders. But as it was blocked, it was impossible to confirm whether Catlia remained in her original spot. Indeed, within a certain radius, it's not impossible to leave this region. And deep inside the black cloister, Klein retracted his gaze and thought as he walked to the bookshelves. He temporarily didn't have the time to consider what happened between the Saint of Darkness and Leomaster. In his previous dreams, it was because he needed to determine his current situation. When he arrived at the bookshelves, Klein discovered that the books placed on them had their own names. They weren't blurry or indistinctive like ordinary dreams. The Spirituality of Life, Book of Charms, The Flower Within the Heart, and The True Cosmos and the Inner Universe. These are all books on mysticism. Klein carefully reached out and took a book of charms. He quickly flipped through it and realized that he knew most of the content, but there was a small portion which he had never come into contact with. It can be confirmed that this isn't from my dream. Ma'am Herman is the knowledge that pursues her, is injected into her, has been conjured in this black cloister. Klein had no desire to explore beyond where he was. He held the book of charms and returned to the side of the floor-to-ceiling windows. He found the spot to sit down and began reading in a serious manner with the sunset's glow. You can still study even in my dreams, as he lampooned. He took out a pen and paper as he wrote and drew. While he engrossed in this, the light suddenly bloomed and the blinding whiteness blanketed his vision. Klein naturally opened his eyes, felt warmth from the sunlight, and shone inwards. I just read a few pages and plan on to speed read it before using dream divination to recall them. Klein sat up frustrated. He felt like he had lost a good opportunity to study. This was because he couldn't determine if he would randomly be placed in the Black Cloister Library again. He straightened his hair, wore his cap, and went to the deck. As he observed his surroundings, he recalled the dream. Prisoner is likely inside the Black Cloister as well. Yes, it might be underground, but in other words, the Saint of Darkness and Leo Master are in a ruin nearby. No wonder Willow Septon told me not to attempt exploring the dreams. These places are really filled with danger. Why would the Saint of Darkness and Leo Master look identical? The dream was a little strange. Although the full body mirror was very magical and sinister, it actually managed to clone a Garen Sparrow. Upon recalling this, Klein began to find examples of his past experiences and confirm his thought process by comparison. This was called relying on experience. As soon as he thought of storytelling, he had to once again borrow the mental Terra candle in the backland and helped Father Trotsky eliminate the past him, a character that was dissociated from his original self. Could it be that Leo Master is a Saint of Darkness from the Aurora Order? Due to certain reasons, he had to split his personality, separating the good and the evil side. This sealed and dark prison is a reflection of his inner dream. Yes, the full body mirror. Leo Master has said that if it were destroyed, he would vanish as well. When I looked into the mirror, the Garmin Sparrow inside it did form a corporal body. It was evil. It's no wonder I felt like the sage after I eliminated the Garen Sparrow in the mirror. It's because I got rid of my evil and sinister thoughts in my mind. No! Give them to me. Because here's the thing. I would treat him so well. When I think about it, like, I would treat Garen Sparrow so well. Me off. Whatever. Oh! There it is. Can you hear? Okay, yeah. Like, can you hear the music? You know what? Okay, here's the thing. Garen Sparrow does sometimes give, like, that's what I'm saying. Is like, is he attractive? Yes. Does he have aura? Yes. Is he a psychopath? Also yes. Does he kind of Jeffrey Dahmer people? You could put an argument for that. I don't know. You know, everybody's got like something you have to overlook, you know? And the fact that Garen Sparrow, Jeffrey Dahmer's people just might be the one thing that I have to overlook when it comes to my husband. And that is maybe it's okay with me. I'm willing to take that. Anyway, yes, that full body mirror must be the form of a mirror in the real world. These waters clearly have the beyond or remnants of a visionary. It conjures many unreal and real monsters that can kill. We don't know that he doesn't want me, okay? We just know that he doesn't know me. And if he knew me, there's a chance he could want me. So, you know? Being able to split good from evil and causing dissociative personalities does make logical sense. Well, you guys tell me that I remind you of fours. So, if I have to be compared, I might as well get the bonus and the benefits from it. Sometimes you have to live in delusion until delusion becomes reality. That was fucking bars, dude. I should become an inspirational speaker. Saint of Darkness Leo Master is a high-ranking member of the Aurora Order. He must originally be very evil, and the ruin item stirred up his inverse side, which is a good hidden deep in his heart. It caused the split personality, hence he is trapped somewhere nearby. Klein felt that he had roughly understood the truth in the matter that felt little regret. Unfortunately, I'm unable to enter the same spot a second time, otherwise with the Sea God Scepter in Leo Master's good side, there's a high chance of defeating his evil side, the Saint of Darkness, and the damage dealt in the dream world wouldn't count on the real world. Or would continue in the real world. In that case, the good saint would understand that the Aurora Order would be born. It would make it easier to strike down this the cultist organization. Klein secretly sighed and turned halfway around and watched Anderson Hood walk out of the cabin. Where did you go in your dreams? I didn't actually find you. The strongest hunter asked. I'm just pointing out, Anderson was like, where'd you go? I was looking for you. The strongest hunter asked as though he were best buds. Klein secretly frowned as he asked, why should I be seen by you? Anderson was taken aback. I'm already loving this dynamic. Shouldn't you return to the spot where you left the dream upon returning there again? There are other elements involved in the random appearance in other spots, which particular radius, something to do with more uniqueness. Klein realized that the problem was more complex than he had imagined. He said with some deliberation, I went elsewhere after entering the dream. Strange. Anderson frowned as though he was very puzzled. Without waiting for Klein to speak, he thought before speaking again. There's another strange incident. What? Klein asked cooperatively. Anderson surveyed his surroundings. Back when I was pretending to make the canoe in the hall last time, I heard the sounds of a door opening and of footsteps that came out from the deep inside. But when I looked up, I found nothing. I originally thought that it was someone from the ship, but later I didn't see them like the case. Chapter 656. Because here's the thing, I really need the, by Merlin, I really need the, Garmin Sparrow, Anderson, Donitz trio. I think it would be just a peak group. Oh, the R and the A are mixed up. I was like, what is wrong? That's better. Anyway. I was looking at it for like a solid 10 seconds trying to figure out what was wrong with that. And I couldn't. Crazy mutations. I'll show him some crazy mutations. Someone opened the door deep in the hall of murals and came out. A rampager, hold up. A rampager beyond a creature who was nearby. Furthermore, it possesses the ability to act in dreams. After hearing Anderson Hood's description, Klein began making logical speculations. As thoughts whirled, he suddenly had a new idea. Could it be the owner of the mysterious eyes that observed me on the deck? It's possible. If that mysterious person had been lurking on the ship the entire time and followed us into these waters, then he'd have to sleep with when night falls, so he will appear in the dream world. Ma'am Hermit is completely unaware of his existence, or has she tactically agreed to his actions? Or he's the trump card that she wields, which is why she isn't afraid of the danger of the waters when taking on my missions. No, they cannot be determined. At the very least, I can't determine that the person who opened the door deep inside the Hall of Murals is the mysterious person on the ship. Klein looked at Anderson with a deep, gloomy look before asking, "Why does it seem unlikely?" Back when Anderson Hood mentioned it, he originally suspected that the person who opened the door was a member of the future, but he later felt like it was unlikely. Anderson chuckled. "I visited every person on the ship in the dream, and I discovered that no one possessed the ability to act freely in the world except you. Unfortunately, I was pushing open a door outside back then," Klein said calmly. Anderson shrugged and said, "I know. That's why I'm not suspecting you. These waters have dangers lurking everywhere. All sorts of unimaginable monsters are active here. Perhaps the person opening the door from before was the stone giant from earlier, the rotting dragon who deemed of countless treasures." Upon saying this, he leaned against the side of the ship and looked at the sea, which was bathing in golden sunlight, as he smiled wistfully. "I discovered that ever since I escaped the ship-sinking crisis brought about by the storm, my bad luck has been decreasing bit by bit. It's obvious that it's not fixed and won't last forever. Look, I successfully swam onto the island, and although I kept meeting with all kinds of bad luck, I managed to last until you arrived. Yes, I do attract monsters, and I did make the stone giant appear, but didn't we easily resolve it? Also, nothing happened despite me being on board for several hours. Doesn't that explain?" Before Anderson could finish the statement, Klein coldly cut him off. "Shut up. Doesn't this guy know how to keep his words to a minimum?" When faced with the livid expression, he really wanted to beat him up. If it wasn't for the divination above the gray fog that said that you haven't mutated or have a big shot possessing you, then I would have already sunk you to the bottom of the sea. Yes, sequence 8 of the Hunter Pathway is Provoker. Bye. Thanks so much for coming. Enjoy your day, you pretty little princess. Seeing how he wasn't providing with any more clues about the individual who opened the door of the dream world, Klein remained silent for a few seconds, suddenly turning around and walked into the cabin. He had discovered a huge oversight on something. Since Anderson, who's plagued with bad luck, was on the ship, that meant that the chances of him experiencing an incident would only increase exponentially. "The princess is leaving, the pretty princess Nagito is leaving. Everybody wish him very well day." Therefore, he needed to make some preparations. After returning to his room, Klein walked to the bathroom and picked... Comes out tomorrow. I'm so excited. After returning to his room, Klein walked out the bathroom and he picked up Azek's copper whistle and Willow Septon's paper crane. After setting up the ritual to summon himself, he brought Tinder, the sun brooch, and the nightmare beyond a characteristic from above the gray fog into the real world. He didn't immediately switch out the equipment inventory, but he did place them inside his suitcase and beside the biological poison bottle. This way, even if danger suddenly struck, he would have a chance to adjust his inventory, and then he could make a selection based on the danger he faced. After doing all this, Klein felt significantly relaxed. He put away the other items and left the room for the dog, afraid that he would miss any signs of mermaids. Just as he walked out of the cabin, he saw Frank Lee crouched in a corner, looking shocked and dazed. What happened? Klein felt his heart skip a beat. He was afraid that something had gone wrong with the crazy crossbreeders' experiments, causing everyone in the future to be embroiled with terrifying biological disaster. Frank shook his head in a daze. "Didn't I mention about those little things before? They actually need to sleep for some time before they can grow and reproduce. In the end, what happened in the end?" Klein's expression turned solemn. David, you're back. Welcome back. I haven't actually done anything. I've been on my best behavior. My lawyers wasn't there. I couldn't do anything because I didn't have someone to, protect the slander and save me. So we've just been nicely reading. This made the strongest hunter, Anderson, who was bragging about how many pirates he had hunted in the audience around him without realizing the change in their eyes. Some sensed something as he curiously stopped his description and came over. The crouching Frankly looked up and said, "They just finished the large-scale reproduction stage and have even mutated. This is a miracle. And where have they gone? Are they still in your laboratory?" Klein instinctively felt that this wasn't something good. Frank used 2 seconds to adjust the problem as he rolled his sleeves up and showed his hairy arm. He pounded the deck in front of him and revealed a smile. They have drilled inside and have seemingly reconstructed the future. Amidst the dull pounding, something that seemed like milk spewed out like a fountain from the deck, spraying Frankly in the face. The boat can lactate? Is the boat gonna get pregnant? He licked the liquid off his lips and in pleasant surprise, the future has produced milk. At the same time, the pirates by the side of the ship pointed down their cannons in horror. Yeah, no, fucking same. The cannons are spewing milk. This isn't scientific. Klein nearly couldn't control the twitching of his facial muscles. Ever since he boarded the future, and ever since the ship came to the ravine and began its descent, he felt that many of the things that had happened were extremely unscientific. It even exceeded the confines of his mysticism knowledge. Bro, honestly, give this man is it a Nobel Peace Prize? Is that the one you get for science? Give this man a Nobel Peace Prize. Not a Nobel Peace Prize. A Nobel Prize. And a Nobel Peace Prize. Give him both. Give him all of the awards. King. By David. Anderson watched agape, nearly forgetting to inquire. He stomped his feet habitually and successfully saw another milk fountain spew out. One after another flashed past Klein's mind as he acutely figured out the problem. He immediately looked at Frankly and asked in a deep voice, "After your little things have infected the future, will it continue infecting people? Is everybody going to be lactating? Is Klein going to be lactating?" While asking, Klein's right palm reached into his pocket. According to the situation, he selected the floating charm and prepared to fly into the air in order to escape the infliction. Frankly thought seriously for a moment. In theory, yes. Before he finished his sentence, a figure appeared and kicked him in the ass, sending him tumbling a few times, slamming into pools of milk. The person was none other than linen shirt Nina, who was draped in a blue jacket. She glared angrily at Frankly on the deck as she cursed while hyperventilating. "Aren't you going to finish off those darn little things of yours? Did you do this while thinking that my breasts aren't big enough?" "All right," Frankly patted his ass and said unwillingly. At this moment, Klein had already taken out his charm and softly chanted, "Storm." He believed that he had underestimated Frankly's ability. I think we all underestimated Frankly's ability, babe. Okay, here's the thing. I know he's doing it in a very scientific way. Frankly is freaked the fuck out. Like, I thought Roselle was the biggest freak in the book. No. Freak Lee. That's the one we gotta worry about here. And you know what? All the power to him. However, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Like, game recognized game. Freak Lee, me, we like this. I also want to see Klein producing milk. Anyway, he believed that he had underestimated Frankly's abilities to cause trouble and suspected that the disaster brought about him would only worsen. Therefore, he decided to first fly into the air. Blue flames. Blue flames enveloped the charm made of tin as squalls immediately stirred. He swirled around Klein's feet. body, lifting him off the deck in the height of 4 to 5 meters. Anderson was taken aback before he reached out of his palm and attempted to grab Klein, but he was the moment too late. All he could do was watch Garamond Sparrow rise up as he remained standing on the spot. This ordinarily handsome hunter shook his head. Ordinarily handsome, they better not be talking about my goat, Garamond Sparrow. That man he hits me with a car and I say, thank you, handsome. Let's get that straight. His head with a worked expression, somewhat amused while also wanting to dismember the first mate of the future. At the moment, Frank had already taken a bottle of dark green powder. He grabbed his handful of it, and as he chanted in Jotun, he scattered it around the surroundings. At the moment the powder made contact with the deck, it immediately produced green vines and grew wildly. Soon it drew at the milk of the little things, entangling, I think that's the word this is. Yep, it is. Entangling the entire deck and the cabin within. In just about 10 seconds, the future had been reduced to a forest of vines. It's over. Frank smiled at Nina before his expression changed again. They've mutated. At this moment, the pirate walked over to the stagger, shouting with a tinge of horror. A watermelon is growing from my head. Klein looked towards the voice and saw a green vine drilling out of the pirate's head. One of them seemed to produce a soon to ripen watermelon. This is a so-called mutation. This is way too crazy. Goddamn madness. Anderson blurted out in a sigh. His eyes had darted around as he said in a deep voice, there's something wrong with the surrounding waters. In a mid-air, Klein had also determined the same thing. If there wasn't any external disruptions, then Frank Lee's experiment products and beyond our powers wouldn't have caused a simultaneous mutation. One of the vines after another tore apart and the windows to the captain's cabin opened. Catley appeared there, shouted in amplified voice with witchcraft, Frank, stop all the experiments. There are remnant auras of the Earth Mother here. Earth Mother. Klein looked in surprise at Mam Hermit and felt that the theories about the waters being the battlefield of gods had been completely overturned. Oh, my merciful mother. Frank crossed his arms and made a pose like he was hugging a baby. Following that, he sprawled on the floor and devoutly kissed the vines. Catley suddenly watched the scene, and resplendent stars instantly swirled around her. Following that, she made the entire future light up. With a flick of her fingers, she made the colorless flame land on the vine outside the window in the captain's cabin. The vines were immediately ignited and the silently turned to ash. The colorless flame silently spread the weaker havoc without harming a single sailor. As for the future, the light it produced helped it withstand the fire. Before long, the forest of vines vanished completely, leaving behind the pirate who had the watermelon growing on his head. Of course, the vine that was connected to it had been burned to nothingness. This is no different from the devil's descent. The pirate took 2 steps forward and carried the watermelon which had grown from his forehead. Don't open it. Just as Catley had warned, vibrated, the pirate had opened the watermelon with brute force, perpetually the vent of his anger and perpetually to satisfy his curiosity. The watermelon split into 2, and inside it was a milky white brain filled with gullies. Following around it was a blood-like liquid. With the thud of the pirate died immediately without any chance of saving it. The biotic characteristic on him rapidly condensed in an extraordinary speed. That's what I'm saying, is I'm like I think in volume 2 there were scenes where I was like, this is gonna be crazy to get animated, but there's been so many scenes in volume 3 that I'm like, this shit animated is actually gonna be crazy. Like it's gonna be actually insane. Chapter 627. The 5 fingers of the palm were long, each almost half a meter long. The entire thing was a grayish-black color like an Adris desert. Klein suddenly drew at a gasp as he couldn't help but look at Anderson Hood. The fellow had just mentioned that nothing had happened since he came on board. That's what I'm saying. Here's the thing. Love Anderson. I love the dynamic that's starting to form between him and Garamond. However, here's the thing. Anderson is the world's karma to Garamond for what he was to Donitz. And that's why I want them to come together. Back to my point, do not trust Anderson. He's gonna do something. I'm gonna put money on it. Terrifying vitality. Do we trust Anderson though? I don't know, man. I do and I don't. But I think that's just coming from me because I don't trust anybody in this story. That's kind of that, you know? Chapter 657. Yeah, we'll see about that. The grayish-black hair grabbed the side of the ship and quickly hoisted it up, revealing the submerged parts inch by inch. Though the blue water waves, Klein saw a huge grayish-black shadow. Following that, spraying flesh occupied his entire vision. The monster seemed to be an amalgamation. I don't know why that was so hard. Amalgamation of countless blackening and graying corpses. That's what I'm saying. Attached to the two gigantic palms were withered-looking arms that resembled dry timber. The arms stemmed from the corpse that was suspected to be from a giant. The giant's single eye was shut tightly as a few heads were stuck at the neck. And further down these heads were incomplete scaly fish, lizard bodies, and warped human corpses. Layer after layer, they formed flesh that appeared like a floating island. From the different corpses and the connections that the cervixes, crevices, a yellow-green gas that emanated and spread to the surroundings as though it was enveloping the entire area. Cough, 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 cough. Just as the smell that no, that was bad. That was so bad. Just as the smell had made many sailors on the deck cough violently, it was bad that they couldn't even straighten their backs. Upon seeing the scene, Franklin didn't hesitate to take out the materials inside and a hidden pouch on the belt. He showcased the corresponding beyond powers, but to his surprise, Catlia's voice rang in his ears. "Frank, stop! Help Nina command the sailors to get them to adjust the sails." "Why?" Franklin subconsciously asked in return. "In this area, the supernatural matters within the authority of the Earth Mother will mutate, including your powers." As Catlia spoke, she extended both her palms forward and pressed down on the particular spot on her desk. The symbols and the magic labels on the future immediately became more pronounced as they lit up one after another, covering the entire ship in a resplendent sea of stars. They seemed to correspond with each and every point of the starlight and swirled around Catlia's body. The spreading yellowish-green gas kept out as Klein began floating towards the window of the room from the closest wall. The coughing pirates felt alleviated, and under the lead of the boatswain, Nina, and first mate Frank. I have a question though. Why is Frank first mate? Like, I get it. Why he's on the boat. But why did we make him first mate? I think that's the question I have. As well as the instructions of the Autolov. They quickly adjusted the sails and attempted to make the future escape. I'm not slandering him. I love Frank. Me and Frank are like this. We're practically the same person. I feel like if I was to be a character in Lord of the Mysteries, I would be either Frank or like Azek, you know? Or, yeah. I'd just be like a really cool character. Maybe like Dun Smith. I feel like I give a good Dun Smith vibe. Or like Azek vibe, you know? Maybe even like a Garamond Sparrow vibe, you know? I feel like that's just me. from the nearby waters in order to escape the influential mutation effects. However, the grayish-black console monster had held back the front of the ship and the body beneath the waters, connected to unknown parts of the ship in order to hold the future, preventing it from advancing forward. At the same time, formless tall mountains seemed to appear around them, blocking out at the sea. Bro, that's the meanest thing you've ever said to me. And that's saying a lot. So how about we take that back right now? At the same time, formless tall mountains seemed to appear around them, blocking up the sea winds that blew from afar, preventing the future from using its strength no matter how to adjust its sails. Faced with such a situation, there's no need to use the backup steam engine system. Fortunately, the future lacks it. Yes, it can still fly with the help of the starlight, but that seems to be extremely draining on Map Hermit. Besides, it will be difficult to grasp the direction and distance it will bring us. To make such a flight in such waters, there's a high chance of entering a more dangerous zone without being blessed with good luck. There's still the extreme unlucky Anderson on board. Klein floated by his windows in his room as he looked at the situation. He wasn't nervous, as neither Admiral Stars Catley nor the strongest hunter, Anderson, had showcased their true strength. Of course, this includes me as well. Klein added inwardly, he planned on the first returning to his room and wearing tinder without any food around. Using such a mystical item was more suitable than creeping hunger. The latter was to be reserved for him when facing more dangers. I'll cosplay fours. When we hit 500 subs... Actually, no, I take it back. I can't believe I just fucking said I would do that. Dish gosh ting. Dish gosh ting, no. The complicated... No, I take it back right now. No. Complicated situations before throwing it above the gray fog for it to cool down. As for the negative effects on losing items on him, Klein... Klein already had a plan. He decided to put in his wallet, Azek's copper whistle, adventure harmonica, and other items into the suitcase. When changing his inventory, leaving creeping hunger, Murloc, cufflink, and the charms of the sea god domain, he would keep the close watch on the latter two to prevent him from being lost. What would I even wear for a Force cosplay? Like, what does she even wear? Fucking trash bag? Klein wasn't worried about this. He had enchanted charms with different effects. Then were highly disposable. Besides, the corresponding metal in the storm domain domain is tin. It's very cheap, and I know, I'll go look at her design. Nothing to beyond her effects. Okay, you know what? If transparent, if you tell me that For's slander is not for the moment, then you know what? It's not for the moment. Are bestowed by the sea god scepter, so I don't have to spend any additional money. As Klein mumbled, he reached out and pushed open the window to his room. At this moment, the colossal grayish-black monster, which was combination of flesh, climbed higher again. With the approach, the busy sailors had their hair grow wildly to the point of exceeding their waists. This wasn't the most terrifying outcome. It was more harrowing, and the blob of flaxen-colored hair seemed to have life of its own. They would bind themselves to their owners. As the hair began to produce similar changes, the lustrous sea of the stars and the surface of the future could no longer hold back its influence. To the number of pirates who have saved themselves bald, their uniqueness didn't bring them luck either. Their nose hair would rapidly grow in discernible places, blocking out their nasal passages. By the window of the captain's cabin, Katlia had raised her arms at some point in time. In her hand was the scroll that made the smooth fish skin numb. As the incantation and ancient Hermes resounded, while the scroll burned in silence, a light green luster shot out from within, striking the monster's gigantic palm and appeared in the side of the ship. The squirming flesh formed and countless corpses didn't pause at all. It slammed down in the illusory sea of the stars, spreading sparks flying with the ship tumbled. The dark purple color of the depths of Katlia's eyes deepened as she didn't take out a new scroll, and she instead directly pushed her right palm forward. Imprison. When the mysterious incantation came out of the pirate admiral's mouth, and resplendent starlight that swirled around her flew out, descended upon the terrifying monster, the starlight constantly converged, creating a gigantic transparent amber. It enclosed all of the squirming flesh and bound to where it was. At this moment, the pitch black and lustrous short sword appeared in the strongest Hunter Anderson right hand on the surface of the layers of diabolical patterns, but there was only an illusion. Seizing the opportunity to have a terrifying monster. Oh, bye. And once trapped in the starlight cages, Anderson's body produced a layer of blinding white flames. The flames flew forward, leaping out on the ship, and leaped into the grayish-black flesh, which was formed from countless corpses. Following that, the blinding white light rapidly flowed across the monster's surface as if it was engaged in painting an extreme piece of artwork. With a boom, the flames surged in the sky as Anderson jumped back onto the deck with his pitch-black sword. The colossal monster remained frozen in place as though he had lost its vitality. Crack, 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 deep in the wounds appeared on the surface, shattering into countless pieces of flesh in just a second. The Reaper's offense strengthened an exaggerated client who had redone his inventory, repeated in the side of the window and seeing the scene. Suddenly he frowned indiscernibly. Have a good sleep also, by the way. At that moment, something unexpected happened. The fractured pieces of flesh spread out their limbs, shooting towards the deck in barrage and attacks. This colossal attacker seemed impossible to kill no matter how many pieces it was divided into. The number of pieces determined the number of monsters. Silently, the piece of grayish-black flesh flashed to the captain's cabin, jumped up from the deck, heading straight for Admiral Stars in a bid to wrap around her head. The figure surfaced from the darkness and shielded Cat Liev was none other than the bloodless Heath Doyle. His mouth opened as they cracked open, all the way from his nose to his chest. Soon he formed a squirming vortex of flesh and blood. The vortex sucked at the grayish-black flesh and rapidly swirled inward, pulling it inside. Heath Doyle landed on the deck like a shadow. After wavering a little, he finally recovered. As the grayish-black flesh that he splintered off from the monster, it had completely disappeared. The most terrifying part of the monster is the ridiculous vitality, if only this trait can be stolen. Having used another floating charm, Klein floated at the window. He reached out his black gloved right hand and spread it his fingers. The scene before him changed as a result. Blobs of different gorgeous colors replaced the corresponding people and items. These colors kept changing as they rapidly twinkled, making it difficult for anyone to grasp the rules it followed. With the help of the vision, Klein discovered that the blackish-gray flesh shared some of the luster. Although it was splintered, it was actually one. Calmly, he clenched his right fist, gripped the blob of the light, and turned his wrist to the right. Suddenly, Klein saw the yellowish-green luster being drawn away, fusing into his right palm. This was the corresponding trait of the frog of poison. He had stolen the grayish-black monster fog of poison. This was the tinder's effect. At the same time, Klein discovered the damage transferred beyond her powers was lost. He no longer had it. I can only steal from the same target once every 12 hours. With some level of realization, Klein looked at the surrounding future. The yellowish-green fog, which was corresponding, the resplendent sea, the stars, rapidly thinned and no longer looked obvious. The grayish-black flesh scattered everywhere, as also showed signs of desiccating and darkening. With that, the pirates found the chance to catch their breath. As for Cat Liev, she wore a golden brooch on the front of her classical robe. The brooch seemed to be made of gold and was shaped like a bird with a long feather tail. The surrounding atmosphere suddenly turned staid and serene. All the chaos and anxiety vanished from the baffling manner. Even Klein sensed the indiscernible influence that felt that he had become an emotionless zombie. Seeing how the critical moment was at hand, the ship came cruising over. It was also a sailboat and was equally large. Its color was mainly dark and its ghostly green to it. The ghastly pale man sailed drew a blooming pitch-black tulip. This is the flagship of the Admiral Hal Ludwig, the Black Tulip. It was a ship that frequently plied these waters. Chapter 55,000 pounds? Yo, are we about to be fucking rich here? Dude, Klein, put in the work. Put in the work right now. That's crazy. That's crazy. No, that's what I'm saying. Here comes the fucking money. Klein better lock in this chapter. I want to see Klein's hands around this guy's neck and $50,000 in his pocket. That's all I'm saying. And then I want to see his hand around my neck. The Black Tulip, Admiral Tel Ludwig. This is jumping out of a frying pan and into the fire. There aren't the little too unlucky. Floating in midair, Klein was the first to discover the approaching ship. He couldn't help but turn his head and look down at Anderson, who was wielding his pitch-black sword and seriously observing the monster. Anderson quickly returned the gaze. That's what I'm saying. I remember a time when Klein was like, I have 2 pence to my name. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I remember when he was on the streets. I remember when he was on the streets. Now look at him. 55,000 pounds right in front of him, and he's gonna get it all. Could you imagine what he would do with that much money? Oh, I'm so fucking excited. I'm acting as if it's real money, as if I'm like about to get it. Yes, let's go. He couldn't help but turn his head to look at Anderson, who was wielding his pitch black sword and seriously observing the monster. That's what I'm saying. That's the thing, is he used to reek of poverty. I remember him being so broke. Remember that shack that him, Melissa, and Benson used to live in at the beginning of book 1? Look at him now. He's fucking balling. Anderson quickly returned the gaze of the puzzlement as he remained wary against the grayish-black flesh which could shoot out at any moment. He asked, "The look you are giving me is very strange. Did something happen again?" Just as he said it, his holy shit. Reflexibility. There's no T. Reflexively. Oh, reflexively. Okay, it's reflexively. Shut his mouth and said something. Something in front of him in the way, okay, sounds good. And he dodged the monster's splintering body, which was making the fingernails rapidly grow. He quickly arrived at the other side of the ship. As he straightened his back, Anderson suddenly hissed, "Admiral, hell." I'm changing it! Don't worry, I'm coming. Just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. What are we doing? But it was a small leg, guys. It was a small leg. It was a small leg, very, very small. And it only now happened. We are over an hour in. First leg. I'll take it. It's the small wins. Just so we're all aware. Small leg. No, please don't screenshot. There's too many of those. He wasn't a good person. As a pirate admiral who was infamous for killing indiscriminately, he didn't have any psychological burdens when it came to earning profit by fishing in troubled waters. Once he weighed the situation and realized that he could use the powerful monster to finish off the admiral's stars and everyone on the future while also receiving tremendous spoils of war, he would definitely take action. My bad luck hasn't decreased at all. It only switched to the lump sum withdrawal. Anderson's expression warped as the mystery on whether he was crying or laughing. Oh my god. wondering, it might just be you, Tran. Oh, so this, if I popped up on your recommended, welcome to the party. I struggle to read through Lord of the Mysteries and get flamed through the chat, and that's about it. Yeah. So, welcome. Come hang out. Thanks for being here. Okay. At the same time, the corresponding information surfaced in Klein's mind. Just the bounty placed on Admiral Hal Ludwig had, by Lowen alone, had reached 55,000 pounds, which is why he is about to collect that bounty. And then we're gonna share the spoils of war together. He was an extremely powerful member of the 7 Pirate Admirals and one of the highest bounty among the 7 Pirate Admirals. His flagship was the Black Tulip. Didn't have many pirates living on it. Most of the jobs were left to the undead creatures and the spirit world creatures he controlled. He killed indiscriminately, but he didn't have a sick fetish for killing. Oh darn. Fucking. Oh, one of Cuttlefish's characters doesn't have a sick fetish for killing. Shocker. All he did was seriously complete his job of sending living creatures to hell. He had all kinds of connections with the numinous episcopate, and the rumors state as he possessed the ring left behind by the ancient dead. While Klein and Anderson were looking at the black tulip, and the golden brooch on Catlia's robe began to emit a pure, bright light instead of blinding sunlight. In front of the captain's cabin was a blurry figure that was rapidly increasing in length and filled with the silence and serenity of the spectator aura, but it also emanated a warmth resembling sunlight. This was an extraordinarily incongruent existence. It was only thought that the wraith had been created out of the holy sun water. It was both holy and evil. The sun wraith widened its arms and flew out as... I can't read the word. Oh my god, it was fucking ludicrous. No, it's not ludicrous. Yes, it is. Speeds and hugging the black flesh. The sizing sound of fat and oils burning sounded. Out, and the sun wraith and grayish black flesh cancelled each other out as they were simultaneously obliterated, leaving no traces behind. The dark purple hue in the Admiral Star's eyes flowed as the brooch brightened. They quickly produced another sun wraith outside the window of the captain's cabin as it pranced forward, and the grayish black flesh that held invaded the future. At this moment, bloodless Heath Doyle protected Frank and Nina and the other sailors. He used his devouring and digesting method in order to resist the monster's flesh, which possessed immediate vitality. The Black Tulip's speed was faster than Klein had anticipated in seconds. It had entered a range which was cause for alarm for the future. The black sailboat was a gloomy green, slowed down and stopped inside. It didn't seem to be aware of what happened. Suddenly, Klein saw a nearly transparent eye surface around the future's airspace. He had ghastly pale eye whites as it looked down from above without blinking. This is a spirit medium's vision of a telescope. After a momentary pause, Klein drew his revolver and his right hand and aimed at the eye that belonged to the spirit world creature. At that moment, he was somewhat hesitant, as the crazy adventurer Garamond Sparrow to direct fire was the clone that matched his persona the best. But at this moment, Admiral Hal Ludwig had yet to show any signs of animosity. He might have qualms about the faction backing Catlia to hold back. If Klein were rashly killed the telescope, it would undoubtedly push the situation into distinction more of a chaotic and dangerous development. During that brief dilemma, the nearly transparent illusory eye vanished a distance away. Damn. Goddamn. I absolutely will not be introducing the server pathway. Thank you very much. Just so you're aware, just so I'm aware, that will never be seeing the light of day. I actually don't even acknowledge it as something that exists on this earth. That's all I'm saying. During the brief dilemma, the nearby transparent illusory eye vanished. High above the black tulip, white skeletons who didn't wear clothes or leather armor busily controlled the sails, while pale zombies patrolled the areas with cutlasses in hand. The latter were observing their surroundings with green, burning eyes, shadows and wraiths, all sorts of strange spirit world creatures, and flying in circles, boring through the ship at times as the shipboard protruded. Transparent faces weren't too obvious. Amidst Klein's spirit vision, the Black Tulip only had one living person. It was a man dressed like a captain who was silently standing on the deck. He wore an exaggerated triangular hat and a white skull on his feather with it. He wore a trimmed lace white shirt and a heavy and magnificent brown coat. The ox hide belt which led to his white thighs and the thin rapier hanging on it. The man wore a silver mask. His facial features and contours were hidden within. The holes that depicted his eyes, nose, and mouth had cold lines and left one shuddering. This matched the rumored image of Admiral Hal Ludwig. Dude, he's about to kill him and get some mad spoils of war. Not only is he getting that 55,000 pounds, he's about to get some good shit. Where are his first mate, second mate, third mate, and boatswain? Klein, who was first surprised at the lack of living personnel on the Black Tulip, before quickly coming to a realization. Just like how the third mate, the gunner commander, and many of the sailors of future were sent to the other ships of the pirate crew, only the minimum number of personnel were used to enter these waters. Admiral Hal Ludwig didn't let his weak subordinates follow him. After all, he couldn't control the undead and spirit world creatures to steer the ship. At this moment, the Black Tulip clearly turned around and aimed its starboard overside. As Admiral Hal Ludwig touched the silver mask, a salvo and shots rang out. Cannonballs flew over, some falling into the sea before they came, producing splashes. Others overshot, fell somewhere even further away. This was a calibration shot. Soon, the Black Tulip proceeded the second volley of bombarding cannon fire. Klein was just about to activate Creeping Hunger and use the Baron of Corruption's distortion power to change the target of the cannonball, sending them further away, when he saw Anderson Hood raise his right hand and push it forward. Orange, yellow fire ravens instantly consented as they accurately flew out and intercepted each of the cannonballs. Boom, boom, boom. Blinding flames emitted in the fire mid-air as debris scattered. It was as though dozens of fireworks were set on display. Jesus Christ. Jesus. Ooh, maybe don't join that Discord server. It's a bit of a jump scare, not gonna lie. That's all I'm saying. I have to say that the Pyromaniac's powers are very useful at sea. It's a mystic version of the ballistic missile defense systems. However, this is because Anderson is the strongest hunter and has already reached sequence 5. If it were Donitz, there's no way. Oh! He's comparing his boys! If it were Donitz, there's no way he could block them all. It would be pretty impressive if he could trigger half of them. When I use flame controlling, I can only deal with one cannonball at a time. As Klein sighed, the Black Tulip ceased its bombardment and changed the speed again, closing the gap between it and the future. As it approached the surface of the sea between the two gigantic sailboats, which was dyed with golden sunlight, rapidly turned black. It didn't look like ink, but the darkness night without any moons or stars. Translucent and illusory ferocity, creatures crawled out of the dark sea. Pale corpses reached out, their palms, which had rotten flesh dangling from them as dark red or cold flames emerged, forming pairs of eyes. Suddenly the area seemed to turn into an entrance to hell. All kinds of undead creatures floated at the surface of the sea in dense numbers as they changed forward like the undying tidal wave. Anderson looked back at the sun rays, which were obliterated with grayish black flesh, and he knew that Admiral Stars was in critical moment on dealing with the terrifying monster. All he could do was draw a grasp and look up at Garamond Sparrow with a bitterly smile. Just as he was about to press his hand onto the shipboard and create a scarlet flame and spread outwards to prevent the invasion. The undead army, he was surprised to see Garamond Sparrow turn around and fly back into his cabin. He fled. No way. Or fled. No way. Anderson's expression clearly froze. He grimaced as he hurriedly leaned forward with his expanded palms to press onto the shipboard. Silently, a swathe of scarlet flames soared into the sky and swept the area ahead of him. At this moment, the calm suddenly fell in front of him as he heard the words spoken in ancient Hermes, storm. Huh? Anderson instinctively looked up and saw Garamond Sparrow in his round neck shirt and brown jacket being swept up by a squall as he rapidly flew towards the black tulip. Is he committing suicide? I can't understand such madness. Anderson turned to gape as he felt puzzled. With the charm's effect in the blazing of the wind, Klein flew into the airspace above the bow of the black tulip. Admiral Hal Ludwig immediately looked up. The eyes behind the silver mask burned silently with two pale white flames. The shadows raced and the spirit world continued. The death domain, who were spiraling above the black tulip, immediately swarmed towards the enemy. They either opened their mouths, letting out silent screeches, or they extended their long tongues with shrunken faces as though they were extremely excited. Klein looked at him with a deadpan expression as he reached into his pocket, as he left hand released the walls of spirituality on the squish box. Then he took out Isaac's copper whistle, which had tried a few matchsticks, threw them at the deck and the black tulip's stern. Suddenly, the transparent, cold, and indistinctive shadows of wraith paused as they looked at their frozen worms. Following that, they didn't hesitate to turn their bodies to rapidly fly to the stern of the black tulip, the strange-looking spirit world creatures following closely behind. In less than seconds, the skeletons and zombies who were adjusting the cannons betrayed Admiral Hell. The bow was left completely empty except for Ludwig. Klein landed on the deck while pressing down on his cap, landing right before Ludwig. His eyes were bent silently and released the right hand on his cap. His gaze locked on the silver masked Admiral Hell. Chapter 659. The Beyonder power is very powerful. I'm so excited. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like every scene Klein is in, not Klein, but like, you know what, Klein too, but just Garamond Sparrow in particular, like, he just has to do the absolute most, but he does it in such a way that I wouldn't want him to do anything else. And he just aura farms every single time. Powerful. Also, we're going through chapters really fast today. It's almost like I'm able to read or something. I don't know. That's probably all the consistent bullying that I get that has, I do appreciate, don't even start with me harsh. I appreciate Klein at his very worst. I love that man at any point. I just especially love Garamond Sparrow. And that's the fact. So that's where we're gonna stop. Also, I saw Louvre say don't scare them away. Why, I don't scare people away. If anything, the rhetoric that you guys are producing is scaring people away. You know what? Here's the thing. I love it when new people come. I'm like, absolutely, it's super fun. However, there's a lot that's happened. And I feel like there's a lot of lore to catch people up on. And you know what? Here's the thing. I may possibly, in my past, have said things a little unorthodox. And maybe like a little abrupt. Not many. Not anything like too crazy. But I think that there is probably certain things that in other lives might deter sane people away. This is true. There is 700 clips worth of stuff. you know, I don't think we need to talk about it. If you do want to see it, I don't recommend it. But there's a lot. So far, this stream has been actually really tame. So, yeah. That's the thing. You know what? Thank you, Louvre. It is a fun ride. Do I keep it entertaining? Yes. Do I keep it good? Debatable. But, you know, it's always good time. It's always good time. Anyway, let's continue reading. Chapter 659. The Beyonder power is very powerful. On the future, Anderson Hood pressed his hands up on the shipboard and saw the undead army in the pitch-black sea recede like the tide. They rushed over one after another and surged the stern. Oh, also, I was thinking about it. So, you know how I used to put them, before I continue, you know how I used to put, like, little clips on TikTok of, like, compilations? What I'm gonna do is I decided not to do that anymore because we just ended up having so fucking many from Volume 3. So once we're done Volume 3, I'm just gonna do a YouTube video, probably, like, fucking 20 minutes, 15 minutes of all the shit that was said this volume. And at this point, we're at 700 clips, so I would not be surprised if we hit another 100 before it's done, you know? We'll see. Such a scene was illuminated by dark red and gloomy green light. With the accumulation formed by the wraith shadows and all sorts of strange spirit world creatures, there was an indescribable sense of beauty. Cool. As expected, the craziest adventurer, Anderson praised from the bottom of his heart before recalling something. Yeah, dude, it'll be a go down memory lane. I don't know if I want to go down that lane, but we'll be going. That's for sure. Oh, by the end of book 1, we'll be in the thousands. I'm sure we'll be at probably like 2,000 by the end of book 1. I'm thinking by the end of volume 3 though, we'll probably hit around 800. That's my guess. As mysterious eyes and observant the deck himself existed, as well as the door opener of the dream world, which Anderson Hood had memorized, he cautiously gave up the idea of immediately praying to himself in order to use the sea god scepter above the great fog to respond. He also warned himself not to expose such matters unless he was in dire straits. He believed that creeping hunger and tinder together with the various Beyonder powers of magician and the charms of the sea god domain gave him the ability to fight Admiral Hell Ludwig. As for Azek's copper whistle, it could attract undead creatures or spirit world creatures. This was inclined to the death's domain. It could neutralize for most powerful means of powerful spirit mediums for the sequence 5 Beyonders of the death pathway. As long as it didn't exceed a certain number, one would often choose it overwhelmed the other enemy in numbers of the facing a certain number of mid-sequence Beyonders. However, Klein didn't believe that he almost could defeat Ludwig. I keep saying Ludwig. Ludwell. I'm trying to think of who Ludwig is that I keep getting. Yeah, keep going, like, in there. We'll find it, though. Okay, bye. Thanks for joining. Come back anytime you want. Or don't. Join the Discord or don't. Either way. But thanks so much for coming. Bye. I think it's always so funny when someone who has not been here since the beginning kind of just joins in. And then there's just like so much that happens. No, that's what I'm saying is I'm like, yo, dude, that was culty shit. Like that was some Scientology shit right there. Somebody just pops in, they're like, hey, I don't know what this is, and we're like, here's a pamphlet, here's our brochure. Holy fuck. That's crazy. You'd think we were the fucking, like, oh, what is it? There's Scientology. You'd think we were Mormons. You'd think we were, like, out here doing shit. That's what I'm saying. Lord of Mysteries is a cult. No, I will stand on business when I say Lord of Mysteries is a cult. And then like you have the cult, and then we all have little shrines praying to cuttlefish in our rooms. And then like you have sub factions of the cults with like cult leaders. You know? And that's just what it is. But we all follow the divine words of our Lord and Savior Cuttlefish. Dude, the music in the background was perfect for that. Back to reading. Praise the fool. He believed the creeping hunger and Tinder, together with various beyond her powers of magicians and the charms of the sea god domain, gave him the ability to fight Admiral Hell Ludwell, as for Azek's copper whistle. That's what I'm saying. It's something. All I know. Let me get, dude. If we get to 1 million followers, or no, if we get to you know what? The day that I get 1 million followers, I will tattoo "Praise the Fool" on my neck. Praise the Fool. Stitch it. Don't actually stitch it, because I will not keep my word, but I'll do it. It could neutralize the most powerful means. The most powerful means. That's what I'm saying. You just have to say praise and everyone's like, the fool. Culty shit. Often chose to overwhelm their enemies in numbers when facing a certain number of mid-sequence beyonders. However, Klein did believe that he alone could defeat Ludwell in such situations or even kill him. Firstly, the battlefield would be held on the Black Tulip. Considering how Admiral Stars could use the future, anyone with a brain knew that such a situation wasn't optimistic. Secondly, Ludwell was the most senior pirate admiral at the moment. He had the two powerful factions, the King of the Five Seas and the numerous Episcopate, backing him. The mystical item of the sealed artifact that he might not be any weaker than Klein, or might even exceed his. In addition, many rumors indicated that he possessed the ring that was left behind by ancient death. Although this fact that his sequence was lower than Admiral Hell, Klein was not only lacking in adrenaline of the pending successful hunt, or the performing great acting in the role of the crazy adventurer, but he was also tense and anxious. He didn't dare to be careless. All he wished was that the strongest hunter, who had plagued with bad luck, would quickly fly over. Only when two people of equivalent strength ailed together could they have a small chance of defeating or resisting Ludwell, who only lost an undead army. It also gave Katlia and her pirates time to space to finish off the piece together monster. Just as though the flash crossed his mind, Klein didn't hesitate to launch an attack. He made the fog poison, which he stole with Tinder's spread. No one could see the uneasy and worry in his heart. Ludwell, wearing an exaggerated triangular hat, the soft masked Ludwell raised his clenched fist, first spreading the fingers, and aimed his palm at Klein. Instantly, the deck of the bow was enveloped by the harrowing yellow-green fog, and in front of Ludwell, an illusory glow exploded. Following that, the point spiraled and collapsed a door whose sides swung open. The bronze door was covered in all sorts of mysterious patterns, and had an indiscernible heaviness and silence to it. With the creak, the door shook and cracked open a little bit. Behind the gate was endless darkness, as though it was the deepest and darkest night. Indiscernible pairs of eyes were hidden in the darkness behind the door. They were densely packed in everywhere, but it was impossible to discern their actual bloodline. A little bit like, you know. Would it really be a stream without a little bit of leg? Come on, you know? Come on. No! I'm gonna cry. Okay, it's back. It shot all the way down, and I'm not even kidding, I'm not even kidding. I was about to rip my fucking modem out the wall and throw it off my 3-story. Like, I'm on the 3rd floor. I was about to throw it 3 stories down on the ground. I was about to lose my fucking mind. Put me off. Give it a minute. Give it a minute. No. No. I'll kill someone. I'll kill someone and it will be... Okay. Behind the gap was endless darkness, as though it was the deepest and darkest night. Indiscernible pairs of eyes. Oh, I read this. Skinless arm covered in blood, along with greenish black lines, and the baby faces reached out. Palms with mouths filled with teeth grabbed at everything beyond the door as it screamed, laughed, sobbed, yelled. This brought a terrifying suction force. Out of nowhere, cold hurricanes that sent chills down the bone stirred, pushing objects towards the strange creatures and the gap at the bronze door. The yellowish-green fog of poison was instantly cleared, and Klein couldn't help but lean forward as he stumbled. The glove on his left palm immediately turned pitch black. It was the sinister feel of the night and the grandeur of the cosmos. Klein's brown eyes darkened as he spread out the left arm and the side and gestured of politeness. The terrifying suction force that swept the bow's deck suddenly changed directions, grabbing the skeletons and rotting zombies, and were rushed to the stern, and it threw them at a gape out of the door. They were bound by the greenish-black baby-faced vines and bloody arms that were pulled behind the bronze door where the counterless eyes were. Distoration. Baron of Corruption's Distoration. Klein had distorted the target of the mysterious door, and he used the skeleton and zombies on the black tulip to substitute itself. Despite that, he was still affected by the remnant forces of the tremendous suction force. He found it difficult to take a step, preventing him from fully making use of his nimble and agile traits. The cap he wore had already been blown to the hurricane and was spinning in mid-air. It seemed to take flight as it pursued the undead creatures and had been stuck away. At this moment, Admiral Hal Ludwell, who wore his exaggerated triangle hat, raised his right hand again and exerted his palm. The right side of his upper body rapidly turned illusory, as though it had belonged to that of a spectator or wraith. His arms kept extending and instantly covered quite a significant distance as his pale palm grabbed at his enemy. Whoosh. The noise from the hurricane suddenly vanished as soft sobbing sounds drilled into Klein's ears, causing his body to turn numb, as though his blood had frozen. As a pale palm approached, he seemed to be possessed by a wraith or evil spirit. He could produce an effective response as he watched death approach. In despair, he felt his vitality deplete and the increasing rate. Without any resistance, Ludwell's pale and illusory right palm grabbed Klein and squashed him into a thin paper figurine. The paper figurine was covered in the signs of dark green corrosion. Soon it was shredded to the dust under the hurricane and never stopped. To the side of his bronze door, Klein figured surface again. His left gloves had already been dyed and the color of pure sunlight. He immediately straightened his body and spread open his arms. Golden flames swirled around, and the pillar of holy light that discerned from the skies, striking the bronze door, which was covered in mysterious patterns. Sunlight suddenly burst out. It was so blinding that it made it almost impossible for Klein to open his eyes. As for the terrifying door which Ludwell had created, it began shaking and turning slightly blurry. Even the extraordinary suction force from behind the door had weakened. More than half of the greenish-black baby-faced vines and the bloody arms were vaporized. However, even more strange arms and distorted creatures attempted to squeeze out from the opening in the door, just as Klein was about to continue using the Priest of Light's lights of purification to purify the bronze door. Ludwell's pale palm swiped down wildly. Awesome. Klein hurriedly dodged to the side and kept rolling to avoid the remnant effects of the hurricane and the soul-sucking palm. 1 roll, 2 rolls, 3 rolls, and his body abruptly bouncing in a diagonal fashion. For at some moment in time, creeping hunger had already appeared and made of gold. Admiral Hell's silver mask was the first thing that was reflected in Klein's eyes. It included the pale flames in his eye sockets. Following that, 2 bolts of lightning brightening from the depths of his eyes, interrogators, psychology, piercing. At this moment, a black square-shaped ring on Ludwell's left index finger produced a slight glow. Immediately, a scene appeared in Klein's mind. It was a gigantic throne that was made up of rotting head and creatures like humans, elves, giants, dragons, demonic wolves, sea monsters, and vampires. On each side, there would be a miniature transparent face of wraiths, shadows, and evil spirits. They were filled with hatred, viciousness, and indignation. Suddenly, Klein felt as though his head had been struck by an axe. The fearsome pain filled the mind without any delay. His psychic piercing had not only failed to show its effects, but even ended up attacking him in the amplified manner. If not for him having experienced more extreme pain, Klein definitely would have fallen to the ground, wailing and struggling, but even so, he temporarily lost his ability to restrain the bend his back with grimace. Seeing the opportunity, the gap where Ludwell's mouth was a slow language and ordinary living creatures were unable to understand his emanated. The surroundings instantly turned dark and blurry illusory. This was the language of death that came from hell in the underworld. Just as Klein felt a little better, he discovered that his spirit body was floating up uncontrollably, separating from his body inch by inch. And the terrifying suction force from the bronze door was as irresistible force of the spirit. No, this won't do. While his spirit body had completely left his body, Klein raised his right arm and spread his hand, which was wearing tinder to great difficulty. Different illusory glows instantly interweaved as they surfaced before him and changing rapidly flickered. Without any hesitation, Klein grabbed onto the pale white blob swirling a gloomy green color. He twisted his wrist and extracted it. In this battle, the Beyonder power which he wished to steal the most was the one that created the bronze door, but he couldn't guarantee his success. All he could do was seek the blessings of the goddess. A lustrous glow flew over and landed in tinder. However, this wasn't the Beyonder power that Klein wanted the most. However, it wasn't the worst one either. The mouth behind Ludwell's silver mask moved, but it wasn't able to produce the sluggish, awkward language that was destined for the living and not understand. At the same time, Klein opened his mouth. Chapter 660, Behind the Mask. Did I say some of those words wrong? Absolutely. Was I going to address them? Absolutely not. Don't worry. I know my illiteracy when I say it. It's not Mark. It's Mask. We just don't address it sometimes. And that's okay. You know? Chapter 660, Behind the Mask. One syllable after another of distorted, incomprehensible, jarring, and indiscernible words slowly spewed out of Klein's mouth. It made the hurricane produced by the bronze door terrifying suction force to instantly calm down, cloaking the already dim surroundings with the deeper gloom. Only in that moment did he know that the Beyonder power which Admiral Hal Ludwell had just used was known as the language of the dead. It could circumnavigate the protection of one's flesh and blood so as to target the spirit body. It belonged to the advancement in the spirit medium's powers. It could go from directed communication with spirits to that of commandeering the point of enslavement. Dude, that was a lot of big words. And I got all of them. I'm really proud of myself. Living creatures were unable to understand the resounding language. Ludwell couldn't help but freeze on the spot. The transparent layer rapidly surfaced on the pirate's cabin attire. His spirit was being tugged by an illusory power. At this moment, the black square-shaped ring on Ludwell's left finger produced a faint glow. Harsh. Small wins. Small wins. At that moment, the black square shaped on Ludwell produced a faint glow. The minute portion of the spirit body which had been forcefully drawn out had returned to his body as the two fused back into one. Ding! With the right hand, Ludwell drew the thin rapier hanging by his waist. It was an iron black in color, and its tip gathered at the surrounding light, turning into a dark point. Admiral Hull suddenly took a step forward with vigorous wind currents. He suddenly closed the distance between him and Klein. Immediately, he thrust out the rapier in his hand at lightning speed. The bronze door, which was covered in mysterious patterns, remained standing erect at the original spot. It didn't vanish because of Ludwill's retracting on his left hand and subsequent actions. This was different from the similar-looking abilities that Miss Sharon had previously cast using the mystical item. The black rapier pierced through Klein as an unequivocal matter. Klein's figure rapidly crumpled into a piece of paper. Its surface turned yellow and dry, as though it had been withered for thousands of years. The hurricane brought about the bronze door, completely pulverized the paper figurine. In midair, Klein jumped out of the darkness as he held a huge handful of charms from the sea god domain. Storm. He silently shouted in ancient Hermes, and the tin flakes lit up individually as they sacrificed themselves into the sea god. This also meant that if Klein wished so, he could recycle most of the materials and use it multiple times until the materials could no longer withstand the spirituality. Whoosh! The black wind blades shot out as the surrounding water sprayed out heavy waves and they were as tall as the ship. As Klein didn't attempt to have the time to distinguish between the different kinds of charms, while these attacks inundated Ludwill, the extraordinary effect also augmented Admiral Hell. He was giving augmented effects like underwater breathing, underwater mobility, fight, and pressure resistance, none of which were useful at the moment. Ludwill suddenly opened his mouth and produced a silent screech. He then struck the waves beside him as countless wind blades temporarily froze in midair. Immediately following that, Admiral Hell raised his left hand and black square-shaped ring on his index finger, producing a sinister and eerie glow that instantly brightened. Whoosh! The bronze door that exuded the indiscernible feeling instantly swelled as though the double in height and width. Amidst the heavy creaking sound, the gap at the door opened up. The already terrifying suction force immediately rose to an unimaginable level. Blue wind blades and black sea waves were produced as Klein charged at the door from the air, heading straight for the straight vines and the arms extended outwardly. Klein had planned on using the Priest of Light, clashing head-on with the bronze door in the light of holiness, to catch a breather, but he ended up seeing a glaring white fireball about the height of a person fly over. The fireball was augmented, and ridiculous suction force gathered at the door. It flew by Klein and smashed into the gape of the mysterious door. Crazy! Boom! With white flames scattered around the rain down, but all it did was make a bronze door quake a little and dim a light. Klein took the opportunity to snap his fingers. The few matchsticks he separated in the pocket immediately lit up, and scarlet flames rapidly enveloped his body as he melted away. The flames burst out in the side of the bronze door as Klein leaped out of it. He instantly noticed that Anderson Hood was floating in midair in a rather awkward manner. He held the burning white spear in his palm. The strongest hunter had finally arrived, but he just appeared unaccustomed to flying. When Ludwill looked up and saw the scene, the pale white flames behind the silver mask clearly jumped twice. Clearly he never experienced the future, who had two other powerhouses of pirate admirals level apart from Admiral of Star Catlia. Furthermore, they wielded pretty good mystical items and sealed artifacts. At this moment, Ludwill suddenly raised his hand and pressed down on his face, surprisingly taking off his silver mask. Heavy pale white light suddenly spewed out from behind the mask, causing endless silence, and instantly spread out from the black square-shaped ring on Ludwill's left index finger. The silence surged into the bronze door and lifted it off the deck into the mid-air. The door covered the mysterious patterns fused with the endless silence as it rapidly burgeoned and more than 30 meters tall. With the sea at its base, it stood there, erect like an entrance to another world, one completely different from the present world. The bronze door opened and undiscernible darkness smerged out from the enveloping of the black tulip's bow. Upon seeing this, Klein didn't focus on the attacks as he quickly took out the correct charms and rapidly used it on himself. A strong gust of wind swept over the lifted him above the black tulip. With the pull of the darkness, the gigantic sailboat steered into the bronze door 10 meters at a time as it sailed into another world. Admiral Ludwill stood at the bow as he looked up into the sky. His face was blackened by the pale white luster, preventing anyone from discerning his looks. His gaze first swept past Klein before landing on Anderson Hood. He seemed to make the mental note that these two hunters but didn't make any further attempts to attack. He seemed to have the restraint of the surrounding darkness. Anderson was taken aback, but he didn't hesitate to throw the burning white spear in his hand. The spear shot straight at Ludwill, but once it entered the region enclosed by the darkness and silence, it suddenly vanished. Ludwill was planning to escape. How decisive! Klein was first stunned before he recalled that Azic's copper whistle was still on the black tulip. It was a gigantic sailboat halfway inside the bronze door and about to enter another world. With no way to stop them, Klein threw the matchsticks and snapped the fingers. He appeared 50 meters above the stern where the undead creatures were flying for Azic's copper whistle. This item, which kept changing hands, finally burst into the scarlet flame due to the matchsticks tied to it. Amidst the flames, Kyne's figure surfaced there and grabbed Azek's copper whistle. This was the preparation that he had made for retrieving the copper whistle. Furthermore, it prevented any mishaps from happening, such as the matchsticks being pulled away by the undead creatures. He had also coated the copper whistle with an easily flammable essential oil of the sun. Surrounded by countless undead, Kyne didn't have the luxury of time to react his hands as he grabbed the copper whistle. He immediately snapped his fingers again. At that moment, transparent, rotting, pale, illusory hands grabbed him. The matchsticks Kyne had previously thrown into the air lighted the mid-air as it produced a flame. His figure quickly materialized amidst the flames. His face was livid and his lips were white. Having been grabbed by countless shadows, wraiths, and undead creatures, Kyne felt the depths of the spirit body were ice cold. He couldn't control his body as he plummeted into the sea, dyed in gold. With the black tulip almost completely crossing the bronze door, the sea, which appeared like an entrance in hell, had been restored to normal. Oh my gosh. Kyne sank a few meters and swallowed the few mouthfuls. Damn. Who went gambling and lost? Sorry, I got... Oh. David. You know what? Sounds about right. Sounds about right. With the black tulip almost completely crossing the bronze door and the sea, which had appeared the entrance of hell, resolved to normal, Kyne sank a few meters, swallowed a few mouthfuls of bitter and estranged seawater before ultimately recovering. Thankfully, he was sufficiently prepared. As he thought finished past his mind, he suddenly felt something amiss. By wearing the Murloc cuffling, he had the passive ability to breathe underwater for 10 minutes. He shouldn't have drank mouthfuls of water. Kyne suddenly turned his head and looked at his wrist, only to realize that the blue cuffling had detached itself at some point in time. It's lost. Tinder, it lost it. I was on the black tulip the entire time. Kyne splashed a few times and floated in the surface just in time to see the gigantic sailboat's tail meld into the darkness as the bronze door slowly closed. He indistinctly swam forward a few seconds before ultimately stopping. He selected one of the remaining charms and gave himself a beyonder effect of underwater breathing. In mid-air, Anderson Hood clicked his tongue when he saw this. This fellow is really crazy. He's actually trying to engage in pursuit. At that moment, the starlight above the future fell and coincided with the long bridge that extended over. Catley had finally finished off the grayish-black monster with immense vitality. What a pity if only Admiral Hell had hesitated a little and didn't flee in such a timely fashion. Anderson Hood sighed silently and firmly landed on the star bridge as he watched Gammon Sparrow fly over. He was just about to greet the praise him when he saw the cold and gloomy expression. Anderson indiscernibly made his way and chuckled dryly, allowing Gammon Sparrow to walk past him. After returning to the future VA of the Star Bridge, Kyne held back in infusing emotions and watched Frank Lee walk over and give him a thumbs up. You're the craziest fellow I've ever met. You actually dared to board the Black Tulip alone and single-handedly challenge Admiral Hell. You even returned alive. Sorry, in terms of craziness, I'm far inferior to you, Kyne thought in response. At this moment, pirates with long and disheveled hair expressed their astonishment and amazement. In such an atmosphere, Kyne closed his eyes and felt his face's potion completely digest. Hold up. Okay. I didn't do anything that stupid. Did I do things that I probably am going to regret? Absolutely. One of those things being the fact that I said I would do a Forest cosplay at 500 subs. And then also at 1 million followers or subs, I haven't decided, I said I would get a tattoo saying praise the fool. And I don't think I'm allowed takebacks. So guess I'm just gonna have to kind of do that. I don't really think you need to defend anything. See, I've just honestly... Yeah, I also said the praise the fool would be on the neck. Can I get it on the back of my neck? Because I know I went like this. Can I get it like this? I feel like that would be better. You know? So, I'm just gonna hopefully do that one. Thank you. That is part of my neck. But no, I feel like I've just been reading. I got really locked in to what was happening. And I didn't really do... Is this spelt right? I think so. Yeah. I always get so scared of spelling now. Maybe small little baby leg. That's all I'm thinking. How many chapters have we done so far? Does anybody know? Because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot. Who did I threaten to kill? Did I threaten to kill? I don't remember. Because here's the thing, I feel like I gotta make up a little bit of streaming time because I wasn't able to stream the last couple days. So, is it lagging? I'm gonna lose my freaking mind. I'm gonna lose my mind if it's lagging. It's not gonna be pretty. Yeah, so here's what I'm thinking. I think it was only low. So here's the thing. I think I'm just gonna read until 9, cause I was like, I'll do a 4-hour stream. Fucking idiot. No, you won't. But at the same time, I got nothing else to do, so we're probably just gonna read until I don't want to read anymore. This might be a 4-hour stream. I gotta make up the time, so you can hang out if you want. Sad life. Okay, first off, fuck all y'all. I was busy the last couple nights and stream was not working the last couple nights, so I thought I would be nice and be like, you know what? Let's do a stream. A little bit longer one. But if we're gonna be like that, maybe I'll end it right now. You know what? I'm just gonna do it, and you guys can stay for as long as you want. Just let me know. Chapter 661. Frank Lee sensed the Gammon Sparrow's abnormality as he added with a chuckle, I planned on providing you some help by throwing some seed over. Unfortunately, I have no way to throw that far. Throw some seeds at the black tulip? These waters have the remnant ores of Earth Mother. Beyond our matters in the corresponding domain would mutate and would attack everyone without identifying friend from foe. I was on the black tulip at that moment. Thankfully, you didn't throw them. Klein suddenly recalled the tragic state that the future had been placed in moments ago, and how the dead pirate had grown a watermelon on his head. Just as he was about to give a minced answer to match Gammon Sparrow's persona, he suddenly saw Heath Doyle appear from the shadows, bending his back to vomit. This bloodless wretch, first before his knees, went limp and knelt on the deck. He finally vomited a pool of yellow-green liquid. Amidst it was a piece of half-rotten grayish-black flesh, which was squirmish a little. Heath Doyle continued vomiting similar items. Upon seeing this, other than feeling somewhat disgusted, Klein felt significantly relieved. He was originally worried that Rose Bishop Heath Doyle had been corrupted from randomly eating things, but from the looks of it, he had likely isolated what he had eaten without truly digesting it. As expected from the Rose Bishop, who isn't mad, Klein silently sighed. Just as he was planning to look away from the vomit, thoughts suddenly flashed in his mind. A creeping hunger has already been activated. It needs to be fed once within a day. And there aren't any outsiders here. There's also no ideal scum. what is he gonna do? The pirate who died won't do, although his partner might not put up too much weight on his corpse. Creeping hunger devours the soul. I wonder if these pieces of flesh can be treated as food. At the very least, it contains a tremendous amount of vitality. The corpse that has been infused by Earth Mother's aura. Absolutely, you watch Haikyuu for the 5th time, the 6th time, 7th, 8th, 9th. I am a firm believer that there's certain animes you can never watch too many times, and Haikyuu is absolutely one of them. Yeah. With this in mind, Klein took 2 steps forward and came beside Heath Doyle. He couldn't bear to look at the puddle of vomit as he instinctively cast his gaze aside towards the grand sea which reflected the sunlight beyond the shipboard. Hot take. Hot fucking take. The best sports anime is free. I will say that with my full chest, that the best sports anime is free, and Blue Lock is the best sports manga I've read. But free is so good. Oh, dude, okay. Slam Dunk is also really fucking good. No, I think I gotta say free. Free is the best sports anime. Yeah. Creeping Hunger didn't react as he didn't. He didn't react as he didn't crack open a mouth. Looks like it doesn't wish to eat. For now, I can only barely use it to deal with any latent dangers. The best sports anime are here. You know what, Bullseye, nothing you say surprises me anymore. Like, I feel like that's just what it is. I've never read the Slam Dunk manga, but I feel like I should. Slam Dunk is really good though. Looks like it doesn't wish to eat. For now, I can only barely use it to deal with any latent dangers. If I'm still unable to find a substitute food when the day is almost up, I'll throw it above the gray fog. Klein helplessly retracted his hands and looked up at the captain's cabin. The golden brooch in front of Catlea's bloomed with light, once again materializing the sun wraith and cleansed the pieces of grayish-black flesh from Heath Doyle. The pirate admiral's expression didn't seem to change. She only looked slightly tired, and the purple hue in her eyes became increasingly obvious. Yeah, I would say manga over anime, because I always cut something out, and I'm always, or like change something. I'm always like, but why? But why? This pirate admiral's expression didn't seem to change. She only looked slightly tired as the purple hue in her eyes became increasingly obvious. After confirming that the ship had set sail again, Klein didn't... okay, here's the thing. I knew Klein wasn't gonna do it, but it would have been so fucking cool if he killed that guy. I knew he wasn't strong enough, but I really wanted to, like... I really wanted him to kill that guy. Anderson glanced at him and curiously opened his mouth. Shut up. Klein spoke out before he could, and turned the events had made him loose his Murloc cufflink. Therefore, he progressively found the person plagued, with bad luck as a sore sight. He was just short of deafening him as food for creeping hunger. All right, Klein. All right, Anderson raised his arms as he drank in silence. Klein ignored him and entered the cabin before returning to his room. Inside his bathroom, he picked up the water creation charm and activated it in ancient Hermes. With the tub of clean water, he took off his clothes and slid in. The ice-cold sensation of the warm sunshine significantly smoothed him. He picked up his pen and paper he brought from his desk and wore down the divination statement, the location of Murloc cuffling. After reciting it 7 times, Klein completely leaned down, using the font of the bathtub and pillow before entering a dream. Okay, I've never watched Ping Pong, but I've heard nothing but good things. Isn't it, like, here's the thing. Is a sports anime about ping pong? And I'm like, hold up. Ew, stop. First off, I've never watched Domestic Girlfriend. Ever. Never watched Domestic Girlfriend. I don't think I ever will watch Domestic Girlfriend. We'll see. It really is on the Black Tulip. Okay. Let's see. The Black Tulip. Klein opened up his eyes and came to the conclusion, I hope Admiral Hell wouldn't discover it. This way, I can use the cufflink to lock onto Black Tulip's location. Standing beside the desk and looking at the objects on it. That's kind of the vibe that it gives, is like, I know I'm gonna watch it and be like, why the fuck am I watching this? But I'm not gonna be able to turn it off. So, for the most part, I've just kind of stayed away. Yeah. I can't. David. What the fuck? I suffered quite a huge loss this time. Thankfully, I finished digesting the facious potion. Oh yeah, okay, so now we get to... Okay, he's gonna definitely advance before the end of the book, right? Like, I feel like by Louvre, see you later. He's gonna advance before the end of the book. I feel it in my soul. No, I can't wait for the appearance of mermaids. Yes, this is actual situation on the battlefield of gods is different from what I imagined. Actually has the aura of Earth Mother. It must have been left behind later, otherwise it's impossible for that deity can't control her own aura. None of the 8 ancient gods in the Second Epoch wielded the authority of Earth dominion. There are some suspects among their subsidiary gods, such as Giant Queen, Goddess of Harvest Mabella, or Goddess of Life, who's subsidiary to vampire ancestor Lilith. This is a battle with subsidiary gods participating, or it really wasn't something from the Second Epoch. Klein knew too little about the battlefield of gods, so we could only mainly guess that have some factual thoughts. He focused again as he began cutting some paper figurines and drew the fool's symbol and concealment and changed them. Klein raised his paper figurine and shook. Flames appeared out of thin air and paper figurine burnt to a crisp. By doing this, he couldn't obtain the desired effects to the creeping... What the fuck am I reading? To a certain extent. If he wished for better effects, he had to go above the gray fog to respond. He could use the Black Emperor cards to stir the powers of the mysterious space, coupled with the paper angel to provide protection. With Azek's copper whistle and Wall Septon's paper crane interfering with the suspected existence, spying Klein's return to the bathroom and methodically finish what he needed to do. After tidying up the room, he put on creeping hunger and tinder and slowly walked to the deck, preparing to seriously observe the surroundings so as to not miss any clues of the mermaids. Just as he left the cabin, he saw the sealed Anderson hood leaning against the wooden alcohol barrel. He had a gloomy expression as his aura and converged. Oh, also, side note, it has nothing to do with the book. I'm getting my hair cut. What do we think of bangs? What the fuck are you guys talking about? Transparent! Why so aggressive? Okay. I won't get bangs then. Sorry I brought it up. And you know what? Here's the thing. At least I never have to worry about you guys, lying to me. You'll straight up tell me. Thank you. I don't know either. I just feel like I have a big forehead and like it would help. Just like a little bit, No, I fully understand. You guys are just trying to help me. Anderson slowly looked up and asked as though he was in Revere. Is there... Six head? Bro, we didn't even go to 5. We went straight to 6. 8? Fuck. Damn. I love how transparent. Thank you for being nice, where you're just like, you pull it off. And here's the thing. Nobody said that. Also, why did nobody be like, no, your forehead's not that big? You guys instantly went to, you pull it off. Forehead, it's a 6 head. It's 8. What do you mean you have a big forehead? Guys, why did what? That's so fucking funny. Like, I'm well aware I have a bigger forehead, but the fact that nobody was like, no, your forehead's not that big. You all instantly were like, yeah, but that's okay. Big ass forehead. Oh my god. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm just gonna continue reading. I can fucking put a what is it called? I can put a projector in my forehead so you guys can read with me the story. Damn. Okay. He really tic-tac-toe in the meme chat. Yeah, no, I'm well fucking aware you guys aren't liars. By how quickly you were to, put me in my place with my big ass forehead. I can land a plane. Thank you. Thank you so much. Cool. You know what? As long as I have other things going for me. No, I'm not prepared. You know what? Thanks so much. I didn't think my forehead was that big, but now I'm understanding that it's not small. Shut the fuck up, Harsh. You can't. No, Harsh. Don't even try. Don't even try. I don't want to hear it no more. I don't want to hear it. Clyde was taken aback and seriously replied, yes. Anderson felt speechless. Dude, I'm not kidding. Damn. Here's the thing. If you make a Megamind edit of my... Yo, you know what you should do? There's a Megamind. Bro. I'll fucking do it just because you know what? If I got a big ass forehead, I might as well wear it. You know the photo that I have as my profile photo? If you edit that to be, like a Megamind profile photo, I'll just, I'll put it as my profile photo. Just me and my big ass forehead against the world. There's no mine in there. Nope. I don't know why I speak. I should have fucking ended the stream. I should have ended the stream and I never should have asked you guys if I should get banged. Thank you. Yeah. And that explains my dating history. Bullseye. Thank you so much for putting that into perspective for me. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm reading. This fellow is just too unlucky. Talking about me. His beauty powers had even failed him to the point of him not detecting the problem with the alcohol. The corners of Klein's lips twitched as he continued forward. On the deck, many sailors were gathered together, watching Nina take on the duty as Lord of Storm's priest. She was holding a wake for a recently deceased pirate. After a simple prayer, Nina looked around and said, you guys are fucking awful. Like, thank you. Somebody come in and say it. And just let me come in and, yeah. As a simple prayer, Nina looked around and said, reverse. Which was buried on the Normal Mountain Port hometown after his death. Thank you, dude. Every time I get a compliment, I'm not gonna lie, I like, it like, puts a flutter in my heart, because I'm like, this is so nice. But at the same time, my, like, fight or flight kicks in, because I'm not used to it. It's like, oh, Dara, you have really nice eyes. I'm like, fuck it. Thank you. And then I slowly put my fists away. Yeah. I feel like it's a staple. The day you see me not wearing this necklace is probably the day that, hell freezes over. And we should all be scared. Holy Lord of Storms, bless him with eternal peace. Many of the sailors believe that the Lord of Storms, as they struck their left breast with their right fists. Klein didn't approach as he silently watched the scene from a distance. Klein didn't approach as silently watched the scene from a distance. After the wake was over, the corpse of the pirate Revere was reduced to ash in the help of the scroll. Klein silently sighed, inwardly drew a crimson moon. Stop. Did you actually put a screenshot of my forehead, and are you actually playing tic-tac? Yo, why does this make it look even bigger? What? Stop. I look like Captain Dunn right now. I have a fucking receding hairline and brain problems. Holy... Holy shit! Why did it make it worse? Oh my god. Oh. That was so bad. At some point in time, Anderson had recovered and arrived beside Klein. He shot him a glance. No, dude, I'm about to bring out a KSI headband to cover up my fucking forehead. Jesus Christ. Just gonna... This'll work better. After passing the ruin and heading about 10 nautical miles with the left turn, there will be a chance of encountering mermaids. Finally, Klein was just about to answer when the sky suddenly darkened and sunlight subsequent vanished. Night had fallen again. Without another word, he returned to his room and got into bed. As soon as he found himself awake in the dreams, clean floor-to-ceiling windows I'm so scared to look at the chat, bro. Without another word, he returned to his room and got into bed. Soon he found himself awake in his dreams. Clean floor-to-ceiling windows stood before him. There was also neatly arranged tables and chairs, as well as bookshelves filled with books. He had returned to the spot from where he had previously left on the dream. He was back in the library. As the glow of the sunset shot in and cloaked every object of faint light layered gold, Klein walked forward in puzzlement and came before the bookshelf he previously browsed. Unsurprisingly, he saw a book of charms and other books on mysticism. Klein planned on taking out the books again and quickly read through them when his gaze suddenly swept across the bookshelf opposite him. He saw a black-covered book with the title Roselle's Notebook number... Shut the fuck up! Roselle's Notebook 3. Are we about to get Roselle lore right now? Dude, this is about to make the forehead comments all worth it if I'm about to get Roselle lore. The Emperor's Diary, an entire diary. Klein subconsciously wanted to extend his hand. Extend your hand! Fucking grab the book, Klein! At this moment, the pair of mysterious eyes that observed the deck and himself flashed in his mind, along with the individual who opened the door hall of murals that Anderson Hood had mentioned, as well as how he was abnormally moved about the dream. Klein retracted his gaze and took out the Book of Charms again. No! Klein! Fuck, dude. I don't give a shit about charms. I want to learn about Roselle. I'm gonna fucking lose it. He came to the long table, sat down, and began quickly browsing through it. Suddenly, he heard footsteps approaching from the depths of the library. Klein instantly tensed up as he slowly lifted his head, and the first thing he saw was a pair of black leather boots. It better be fucking Roselle himself. Like, I'm gonna fucking lose my mind. Powerful. His gaze moved up. Klein roughly guessed the owner of those footsteps. She was a woman wearing beige trousers. I don't want it to be a woman. It's easy to move about. She wore a pair of long black leather boots, but her body was light brown. On her body was a light brown skirt that reached her knees. The hemline fell down diagonally in layers, giving the unrestrained and cool vibe to her. Such a get-up made Klein feel as though he had returned to Earth. This was because, be it Lowen, Intis, or Faysag, Feynerpotter, Lenberg, Mazin, East Bayham, Balam, and other countries, none of them had popularized such styles. Klein lifted his head faster and finally saw the lady's appearance. She had long chestnut hair and naturally cascaded down. Her straight eyelashes extended out just perfectly. Her deep blue eyes were deep and profound, as though it hid the ocean in them. She had outstanding beauty, but it wasn't the most eye-catching thing of all. Her actions naturally infused a sense of nobility. She gave us a strong impression at how she had enjoyed having the status of being someone important for extended periods of time. Clyde subconsciously tried to bow his head and avoid meeting her gaze. Furthermore, she's very tall. She's almost as tall as my state as Klein Moretti. Klein suddenly added inwardly, after completely digesting the facialist potion, he came to the realization that oneself is an amalgamation of personality, experience, knowledge, and social connections, as his looks and build could change at will. Therefore, as long as he knew who he was, he didn't mind using the word state to describe the characters of each of his different identities. After all, every faceless change could be fixed without any additional maintenance. That also meant that even without the corresponding beyond powers, he could still maintain the external appearance as Gehrman Sparrow. And because of that, he could easily make Klein Moretti grow taller if he wanted. Tap, tap, tap. The lady who extended the feeling of looking down from above walked in front of Klein. She pulled out a chair, sat down. We meet again. The lady said with a gentle and emotionless tone. The way she speaks sounds familiar. Klein's mind whirled as she remembered the source and sense of familiarity. The scene on her arrival immediately resonated in his mind as she finally fixed on the pair of black leather boots. It's her. Klein suddenly recalled the relevant scene. Back when he used his spirit body state to infiltrate the Royal Museum and retrieve the Black Emperor card, Why is she here? He encountered a demigod. She'd been sitting at the top of the wooden staircase in the middle of the two large bookshelves. Her black leather boots back then were dangling in the air. He changed back into his identity as Sherlock Moriarty and shouted for help when he was being pursued by the devil dog. Midway he is the oh my god. When he pursued by the devil dog. Wait a minute. Is it back? Is it back? Is it back? I threw my hat like all the way over there, which I gotta go grab it. Jesus Christ, was that a fucking lag? I don't even know what happened there. But she done been lagging. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That shit was harsh as fault. We're just gonna pray nothing else happens while I'm reading. We're just gonna go. He changed back into the identity as Sherlock Moriarty and shouted for help. Me take accountability? Accountability for what? David, you better not be talking to me, your client, client-lawyer confidentiality. Excuse me? Yeah, it's I don't remember her name. I'll be completely honest. I do not remember her name, but it's the lady that, you know, when Klein was getting obviously they explained it when he was getting the card and she popped up and then she saw like the hero Black Bandit Emperor like shadow thing and Klein was like boom, and then when he was in the carriage and he was trying to get away, she like popped out of nowhere when like the whole world went like whoosh, and then she like popped up a couple more times in volume 2 when he was in Backland. So I don't remember her name, gonna be super honest. Hero Bandit Black Emperor. Wait, no. Black Bandit Hero Emperor. Hero Black Bandit Emperor. Emperor Black Bandit. The P-Vine lady. I remember I don't know her name, but I know she like had the vines and shit. Hero Bandit Black Emperor. That's what I said. Is that not what I said? He had no choice but to follow the carriage up mid-air when he saw the pea vines. There it is, the pea vines interweave in the hammock and the pair of black leather boots. It's her. Why would she appear in the dream world and these waters? That's what I'm saying. I'm like, why is she there? Besides, she said we meet again. I'm Garin Sparrow right now. That's what I'm saying. She knows. She knows something. I'm Garin Sparrow right now. Amidst his thoughts, Klein replied with a deadpan expression. We haven't met before, so what if you're a demigod? As long as you aren't an angel, I can use the Sea God Scepter to resist you in this dream world. Klein encouraged himself in secret. The lady with long eyebrows sat there and lifted her chin as she observed Klein for 2 seconds. Is that so, Mr. Hero Bandit Black Emperor? Dude, she fucking knows. Klein's thoughts erupted with a boom as if he had been struck by lightning. His thoughts were reduced to countless fragments that were left in shambles and chaos without any main line of thought. She knows that I'm Hero Bandit Black Emperor. She recognizes me in the spirit body who originally stole the card of blasphemy from the Royal Museum. How is this possible? Wait, why did she directly address me as Hero Bandit Black Emperor? If she had used Sherlock Moriarty, I would be even more astounded, and I might even fail to hide the change in my expression. As these thoughts flashed through his mind, Klein intuitively controlled his facial muscles and calmly said, I don't know what you're talking about. No, literally. Why is P-Vine Lady moving like Stokes? No, Dokes. From Dexter. Um, why are we talking about my Fujoshi bangs? I already said I wasn't gonna get bangs. I know I said Stokes, I meant Dokes. That's my bad. The lady who wrote clothes indifferent from the present fashion trends didn't repeat her words to explain, or anything. Instead, she said in a direct manner, "Your identity as Garamond Sparrow was provided by me." Klein instinctively felt a scalp tingle as he felt through, though he didn't have a single secret when facing her. This identity of Garamond Sparrow was created through the use of Miss Sharon's resource channels. The demigod lady is one of them. Right. Miss Sharon had previously mentioned that someone in her circle had been investigating the true identity of Hero Bandit Black Emperor and had promised to fulfill any reasonable requests in exchange. For ingredients, it was limited to those below that of a sequence beyond her ingredients. According to Miss Sharon's description, the person who was offered the mission was more than 1.7 meters tall, with a very proportionate body and long chestnut hair. She liked wearing black leather boots. Man, isn't this the person before me? Back then, I even suspected she was the demigod whom I met in the Royal Museum. Furthermore, she knew very well that I had taken the Black Emperor card. Thoughts flashed as Klein was temporarily at a loss for words. All he could do was maintain his silence. The lady, whose chin wasn't sharp and was a little rounded, didn't harp on Garamond Sparrow's identity. She looked out at the frozen sunset and said, "While you were in the Roast Archipelago, Nas Solomon's Black Emperor also appeared in those waters. I believe you know what that means, Mr. Hero Bandit." Realizing how she wasn't exposing his identity and was even giving him clues and evidence, Klein could only twitch the corners of his lip and say, "Law beyond her characteristics conversions." This expression of the lady opposite him immediately softened as she said with a smile, "You really are Hero Bandit Black Emperor. So, you weren't certain. You were only listing down the clues and presenting your confidence attitude." Yet how was she so certain just now? She still have evidence and she hasn't provided. Klein felt some regret and was abnormally puzzled. The lady, who seemed to enjoy her standing in the important figure, didn't say anything further. She then looked at the bookshelf and said, "You discovered that the bookmarks had the Black Emperor card through his diary." We have 333? We're gonna get to 500 before tomorrow night. Mark my words. Before stream tomorrow night, we'll be at 500. Also, 333 is sick. Lucky number. Thank you. I don't know what that accent was. Diary. This lady also knows the so-called Roselle's notebook is diary. Klein was taken aback and she didn't reply to her. "You didn't take the notebook because you sensed something," the lady asked again. Klein suddenly realized something and decided not to answer but instead pose question. Or else I'm shaving off my head. No, I'm not. Don't say that. I'm taking it back. I absolutely no. My forehead is already big enough. And I also have a flat head. So it'd look really weird because my forehead, it goes like this and then it just flattens down. Like there's no bump. It's just flat. So don't clip it, please. You look at the lady's deep blue eyes and ask directly, "So you're the mysterious person in the future who was secretly spying on me?" The beautiful lady, who didn't allow anyone to come close, replied frankly, "Yes, Katlia doesn't know that I've secretly born in the future, but you accidentally discovered it. A clown's sense for danger." Mega mind. Mega mind turned to mega heads. That's crazy. David, why are you guys playing tic-tac-toe on my forehead? Where are the sounds of the door opening? What the fuck, you guys? What the fuck? On round 4. You know what? You guys better be betting money on this shit. Because tomorrow, if we're not at 500 subs, I gotta shave my head. not actually, I'm not actually gonna do it, but I gotta shave my head, and then you're gonna have, you guys will be able to play chess on that shit. Could you imagine tic-tac-toe and then it's just a chessboard? That'd be crazy. 4D chess. She has discovered another unique trait again. Dude, play Battleship. You could have one here and then one here, and it could be turned into a battleship ground, or like one on either side. That's Ludo on the head. That's crazy. It's impossible for a normal clown to sense danger at this level, even if they're already a sequence 5. She also knows he's a fucking clown. Like, that's crazy. She's discovered another unique trait again. She knows the seer pathway very well. This lady has got Klein on a fucking leash. And I think he likes it, to be totally honest. Unknown, what the fuck? I'm fucking... Dude, that one, I'm gonna pee my pants. That one was fucking good. You know what? You got me good with that one. Damn. That was crazy. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking cry. That's so funny. She had discovered another where the sounds of the door opening and the footsteps heard. The height of an ant. I'm literally fucking crying right now. Oh my god, that's so good. Where the sounds of the door opening and the footsteps heard by Anderson Hood in the depths of the hall of the mural yours. I'm fucking crying right now, dude. That shit got me. That got me good. Are you referring to the hunter who plagued the bad luck? And the lady asked and thought. Yes, Klein nodded. It was indeed me. The lady paused. Inform the hunter of a prophecy. The most lethal danger often lies in a daily life. Are you guys being nice to me right now? Because you just ridiculed me to fucking tears? Is that what's happening? Just so you're aware, this is an abusive relationship. This is creating Stockholm Syndrome. And I need you to understand that. I'll let it continue. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm already syndromed in the Stockholm. So I'll let it continue, but let's say that what this is. Thank you, Transparent. Thank you. Fucking hell. It was indeed me. The lady paused, informed the hunter of prophecy. The most lethal danger often lies in day-to-day life. What does that mean? Seeing how she has no intention of explaining, Klein deliberately asked, you were the one that made me appear in the Saint of Darkness's dreams. You know what? Yeah. The lady combined her long chestnut hair and said, genuinely but coldly, it's not hard to guess, although in the dreams... I continue that you took the remnants of the sea serpent Calvatua. Hold up. Transparent, what are you talking about? Don't be sad. Life's already sad enough. So, if you're sad also, I have to shave my head tomorrow if we aren't at 500 subs. It's just the way the world works sometimes. And like before you appear using the spirit body state, you took away the items from Jan Kottman. Dude, fucking Jan Kottman is just kind of that bitch, you know? Transparent, I'm not even kidding. I will cry happy tears. My life will be so complete if you draw me with Garamond Sparrow. Like, I'll frame that shit. I'll frame that shit right there. I will frame it right there, and we will see it every stream. I'm gonna put it on a t-shirt. I'm gonna wear it as a t-shirt. Now draw forcing Garamond and Lavendera. No! That'd be so fucking mean. He's so mean. Dude, design a t-shirt one. And I will create it on a fucking t-shirt and I will wear it. And people will be like, where'd you get that? And Dara and Roselle, oh my god. Just all of them. Just like, boom, 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 boom. Like just, but me and Garamond. Nah, me and Garamond Sparrow. That's the one I gotta have. I feel like that'd be it. Roselle's just Roselle. Like, I'd just get one of, like, himself, and I'd rep that shit. But, like, me and Garamond. Yes. And then, like, Roselle pants, you know? But no, I would, like, actually start crying if I had a t-shirt of me and Garamond Sparrow. Many people call me by the... Oh, hold up. And like before you appeared using Spirit Body State, you took away the item from Jan Kottman and vanished directly. Oh, you still carry the Black Emperor card. Klein didn't respond to this topic and switched asking, you're a queen. You are a queen mystic? Many people call me by that name, the lady calmly answered. It's really her. The lady's bounty reached 65,000 pounds. Oh, 65. Whoa. Stop it. My brain couldn't count another zero because it just, like, couldn't understand it. 650,000 pounds just from Lowen's bounty alone. Klein, why are you not gagging this bitch, putting her in your trunk, and taking her to the police station right now? Get that bread. Klein silently drew a gasp and said, ma'am, is there any reason why you're looking for me? Queen Mystic used her blue eyes and looked at him for a few seconds before saying, I hope. No, Klein stands no chance. Like, literally fucking no chance. But it'd be funny to watch him try. She's walking him like a dog right now. He used blue eyes and looked at him for a few seconds before saying, I hope you can share with me the method to interpret the language created by Emperor Roselle. For that, I can satisfy most of your requests. Klein didn't admit or deny anything. He chuckled and asked, don't tell me you're even able to give me the corresponding high sequence beyond her potion formulas. Queen Mystic had her bearing converge, but she said without any decrease in her dignity, your fate lies on the main peak of the Hornicus mountain ranges. This, Klein felt a baffling sense of shock. I feel a baffling sense of shock. Are we finally going to go to the Hornicus mountain ranges? Where I thought we were going to go long time ago? Honestly, even better. A bleached t-shirt of Garamond Sparrow? That's fine too. I don't care. I don't care. Just give me anything. I just want Garamond Sparrow on my body. I said it. I'm proud of it. I'm not taking it back. His eyes darted around while he considered a question. Queen Mystic stood up. When you need some help or clues to find a few cards of blasphemy, tell me otherwise. When I'm a soft alpha. I feel like you do give off soft alpha vibes, and you know what? Good for you. Sounds wrong. She turned around and walked into the depths of the tidy and vast library. With each step, her fingers turned faint before quickly vanishing. We've been on this chapter for a minute. I'm almost done. You know what? Great time to ask the question. This is the last page. The library immediately collapsed after a moment of feeling adrift. Klein found himself in the hall filled with beautiful murals. Anderson looked at him in shock and blurted out, "How did you get here?" Anderson pulls up 663. That took a really long time to read that chapter. That's not bad. But here's the thing. We also had to add in the fact that we had a massive lag and the system shut down for a minute, which may or may not be my fault. Jury's still out on that. I blame Harsh. Sue me. Okay, false alarm. Chapter 663. After hearing Anderson's questions, Klein was momentarily at a loss for words. Oh, for an answer, not words, an answer. Klein was momentarily at a loss for an answer. He couldn't just tell him that he had fallen out of the dream suspect to belong to Queen Mystic. He coldly looked and the unluckily strongest hunter raised his right hand and pointed upwards. Is that so? Anderson Hood nodded in enlightenment. What did you figure out? I don't even know what I'm expressing myself. Klein discerningly twitched the corners of his lip and changed the topic. He said in recollection, I met someone just now. Not someone we know, not a member of the future, the person who came out of the door from deep inside the hall. Anderson suddenly became excited. The fellow didn't put on his air of being the strongest hunter. He's like a breaking news reporter. Klein lampooned without answering him. He directly said, she got me to pass on a prophecy to you. She? What prophecy? Anderson was somewhat puzzled. If it were using my identity as Klein Moriarty, why did it glitch out? I would have answered, sorry, I've forgotten she's only said it once. As Klein imagined, the prank would have happened, he said with a deep voice, the most lethal danger often lies in the day-to-day life. Anderson listened carefully as he drew a gasp. This just too accurate. The drinking beer nearly made himself... It's the R slur, but I'm not going to say that. Who would imagine the most of the alcohol in the future is problematic? He ruminated in a few seconds and asked, somewhat worried, that's it. Did you say any details or keywords? I can tell that you're being provocative. Klein ignored Anderson Hood and walked to the entrance of the Hall of the Murals, where he looked at Frank and Nina outside. Back in the library, he had been suddenly accused of being Hero Black Bandit Emperor by Queen Mystic. This invisibility caused him to be placed in a passive state. Afterwards, he attempted to throw her off and not be led by the noise. What do you mean chess? It's not big enough for chess. Maybe tic-tac-toe, but not chess. Back in the library, he had been suddenly accused of being Hero Black Bandit Emperor by a Queen Mystic. Oh, I'm so scared to look at the Discord. This inevitably caused him to be placed in a passive state. Afterwards, he attempted to throw her off and not be led by the nose. Therefore, he remained extremely nervous. His thoughts were completely focused on what he should say in response, without a time to consider the entirety. Process and figure out the details. Now he finally had the time. First, what's most important to understand a question. To what level of comprehension does Queen Mystic have towards the identity of Roselle's diary? Yes, she believed that I grasped the means to interpret the language created by Emperor Roselle. Not the language itself. Although the difference in meaning isn't great, it's enough to prove the identity of the transmigrators isn't something she had figured out or have any clues that point towards that conclusion. Miss Sharon isn't a rookie who just joined the mysticism circles or got herself involved in the complicated matters. While getting someone to fake an identity for me, it's impossible for her to divulge who she's doing it for. Besides, the picture I provided was already Garamond Sparrow's image. That means that the Queen Mystic has equated Sherlock Moriarty to Garamond Sparrow. Yes, if she had already known about this, as I had previously imagined, a better form to address her would be Mr. Black Emperor Sherlock Moriarty. This would have dealt a mental defense a blow with a several times stronger than the directly addressing me as Hero Black Bandit Emperor. From her standpoint, Hero Bandit Black Emperor. From her standpoint, how did she gather useful information? I don't know where you've been, but it's all good. They haven't been doing much. Um, they've just, been playing chess and tic-tac-toe on my forehead. Yeah, I thought Bullseye was here. I don't know. I've been reading. And also crying a little bit, but what else is new? From her standpoint, how did she gather useful information from scattered clues? She knows that the bookmark is the Black Emperor card, hence the spectator-like hero, Black Bandit Black Emperor, and the strange spirit body who stole the card of blasphemy from the Royal Museum were connected together. Later, King of the Five Seas now suddenly appeared in the Roast Archipelago. According to the law beyond a characteristic conversion, she guessed that hero, Bandit Black Emperor might have appeared in Bayham and the archipelago. After her investigation, she discovered that the familiar identity known as Garamond Sparrow then from his identical trajectory with Hero Bandit Black Emperor's actions, she made a prediction and engaged in pursuit. I don't really know how many more chapters I'm going to read. Where are we at? We're almost at 3 hours. Let's read like 5 more chapters. I think we could probably get like 5 more chapters. Action, she made a prediction and engaged in pursuit. She infiltrated the future and observed me up close. This is logical, but there is a certain level of coincidence in all of this. Of course, it's not incompatible for my Queen Mystic to make such a connection. Perhaps she abided by the principles of being wrong rather than feel sorry and regardless of the important clues. That's a good habit, but it's just tiring. There's also a high chance that she didn't lock on to Garamond Sparrow. Immediately, however, with the reputation of the crazy adventurer Garamond Sparrow becoming more prominent in the Roast Archipelago waters and the city of Generosity, Bayham, she matched the timing after hearing the name, and she came to the preliminary conclusion: it's just better to keep a low profile in life. Thankfully, me acting has finally come to an end. Subsequently, I can make the identity of Garamond Sparrow vanish. Klein ran through everything and felt that he had mostly understood the problem at its root. However, he had another thought and guessed it was the way Admiral Star's Catlia had received Garamond Sparrow on her ship. She had done it in an ostentatious manner, as though she was afraid. I know, dude, we're still going. We're gonna finish the book tonight. Mark my words. At least volume 3. Wasn't known to the world that the crazy adventurer was cooperating with her. Perhaps she was providing a certain level of clues. Later, Queen Mystic came and leaned down at Garamond Sparrow. After figuring out that the trajectory of my activities at sea, she had a certain speculation. Instead of trying to pull the bluff, she was actually rather certain. Klein held one hand in his pocket and walked out to the Hall of Murals. He then headed straight for Catlia, who was outside the Black Cloister. Always with that fucking cloister. He planned on using her turbid state and questioning her. At this point, he had actually relaxed significantly. This was because Queen Mystic clearly only knew that Garamond Sparrow was equivalent to Hero Bandit Black Emperor, and he was beyond her, who worked for some important figure and didn't involve any more secrets. Even if he had connected the loss of the Black Emperor card that night and Detective Sherlock Moriarty, who was nearby, that would be a huge problem. From the very long time ago, I had already equated Sherlock Moriarty to the world, and I also equated that to the blessed of Mr. Fool. Garum and Sparrow is only an extension of that identity. This is my preparation for such matters. I always believed that I shouldn't treat others as... It's the R slur again. I'm not going to say it. We can't say that one anymore. As long as someone is active, any clues on their trajectory and social constructs would lead to the exposure. Therefore, I prepared this identity ahead of time for these smart people. I also strictly abide by the settings, even in my everyday life. Who's playing the chess game right now? Because depending on who's... I can't... I didn't say it sadly, I just said I can't say it. Honestly, here's the thing. David, are you playing a game of chess on my forehead right now? Yes. Are you also my lawyer? Yes. So, due to the fact that you are my lawyer, I will have to bet on you. However, I'm not happy that you're playing a game of chess on my forehead. But I will have to bet on you. Just due to the fact that we have a contractual agreement. And for the blessed of an important figure on the basic understanding of Roselle's diary is completely understandable and acceptable. It's within the realms of ordinary bestowment from special existence. You probably never expected that there's a mask under the mask. Amidst his thoughts, Klein also felt that the help from the gray fog and the caution he played in a significant role. If he hadn't noticed that he had been observed by someone ahead of time, where indistinctly abiding by his will, he might have summoned the messenger under Queen Mystic's surveillance. The messenger alone might not expose anything, but it's worrisome that the Queen Mystic might have a way of tracking it and finding Mr. Azek from the recent sightings. It's possible for her to dig out my identity as Klein Moretti. Klein tore through the square filled numerous giant arrows, walked to the black cloister, and saw Catlia sitting there as she hugged her knees just like before. She was sitting at the beautiful sunset. Klein leaped into the boulder and came to the side of the withered trees. He looked at the magnificent buildings on the opposite mountain and said in a seemingly normal manner, "At Nas, you showcased your star bright and connected the dock to the ship. Where there any hidden motives behind that?" Callie's head leaned to the side a little as she said, "I'm not telling you." Klein was momentarily left at a loss. He originally imagined that Admiral Stars would be very honest in the dream world. He had never expected such a situation. Of course, this was also a form of honesty, but it was honest personality. After 2 seconds of silence, Klein decided to pull a bluff. "You wish to use the method to inform someone that I'm worthy of attention." Callie exhaled and remained sitting there, hugging her knees. "Pretty much. It was mainly to tell others that something serious happened, or if I show any obvious abnormalities, you will be the first clue." As expected. Klein sighed inwardly. He knew that Admiral Stars had done such a cheap trick to protect herself, but as a fool, he needed to punish her for such actions. It's about to be 3 hours, not 4 hours. Which is crazy. I'm going to keep going, though. "However, I can use the matter to act up. I will appear as though the fool protects his blessed too much. That will be quite lacking standing." And as the exam came back, you're still reading. I don't know. I normally I'm like, at like the 2 hour mark, I'm like, I've read too much, but I'm just kind of going with it today. We're just going to see how long we can go for. "However, I can use the matter to act, and it will appear as though the fool protects his blessed too much. That will be quite lacking in standing. Yes, Admiral Stars must have done more than this. I can attribute these series of actions as one and punish her for them." Klein quickly made up his mind. He wasn't as flustered towards what he encountered in the dream world again. As for Queen Mystic's suggestion, he didn't even consider it. Emperor Roselle's diary contained matters of transmigration and Earth. If he taught Queen Mystic how to read Chinese, she would discover the point and make even more critical guesses. She must have her qualms about the important figure who can randomly lean out the sea god scepter, so she wouldn't take any forceful actions if there really are any matters that need her help, or if she has some dirt on me. god, okay. My favorite color is purple or red. So if we could do one of those colors, that'd be really cool. But I'm also okay with just like a plain black one. I think that would be kind of cool. Because like my favorite red is like a maroon red. And my favorite purple is like, it's kind of like a light purple, like a lavendery purple, you know? Do it yellow. Okay. And that's not a fucking basic answer. If I was like, oh, black, just do it black. No. Do it maroon red or a lavender purple. Or like a gem purple, like a deep purple. No, yeah. Like a dark purple. Something like that, you know? Nothing about that is basic. So, fuck you. There you go. But also not at the same time, because you're my lawyer and I need you, and please don't leave me because I will slander myself and I need you to represent me on that. Oh. Fuck you guys. I'm just gonna live my life. Cat Leah's expression gaze silently used to change live to pursue her lips and said, "What right do I have to fall out with her? It was just banished. Or I was just banished." I'll do a Garamond shirt. I'm so excited for this Garamond shirt. Dude, indigo purple is so fucking pretty. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm copying your answer now. Dude, I would pay for the shipping. I would pay you for the shirt. Yep. Looking at the bright sky outside, he whipped his forehead and muttered silently to himself. What a terrific dream. After dealing with the wishfulness, Klein rolled out of bed and came to the deck. He continued his observation and awaited the appearance of mermaids. I will fucking pay you. I want this fucking shirt. That'd be so cool. Yeah, we can stop at 3 hours. I will also... After dreaming with the wishfulness, Klein rolled out of bed and came to the deck. He continued his observation and awaited the appearance of mermaids. Nearly an hour later, he finally heard a faint, indistinct voice coming from the distance. I can stop. Because I feel like next chapter we're gonna finally see mermaids. And it's every second counts. And the first line is, mermaids, ? So we can't stop now. Or we can keep going. I can do a poll in the chat, because I'm good. My phone's on. Because I'm good to keep going. I'm also good to stop. Because we also have a stream tomorrow night. I will stop. Dude, I can't believe we just read that shit for 3 hours. That's fucking crazy. I also feel like I have to go into the Discord chat and see whatever fucking debauchery you guys have going on in there. Yeah. Okay, I will stop. We're at chapter 664. So I'll stop at chapter 664, which is fucking crazy, because I'm pretty sure we started on chapter 600, or like 651 or something like that. I don't know. Actually, do we know what chapter we started on? Did we at least do 10 chapters today? We only did 10 chapters? We did 9? Are you fucking kidding me? That's so pathetic. I'm not gonna lie. I might have to keep going. Because ain't no way I only did 10 chapters. I feel like I'm also probably not gonna use that to attract you. Dude, it's like wow, 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 wow. I see it on the screen. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. I'll stop. And we'll pick up tomorrow where we left off. Like, don't worry about it. We'll pick up tomorrow where we left off. I think I'm even, you know what I think I'm gonna do? Here's what I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm actually gonna start stream an hour early tomorrow. I think I'm gonna start at 6 tomorrow. And yeah. We're gonna start stream at 6 tomorrow. And then I will do it a little bit, we'll do a little bit longer, and I'll try and get through the chapters. So we'll see. We'll do it at 6 though. So I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Thanks so much for hanging out for 3 hours with me. It was a blast. I only cried a little bit. You guys only bullied me a little bit. And that's what we're here for. So other than that, I will see you guys next time. Bye. Bye, Mr. and Mrs. Door. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.